Oh, yeah. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Sin Bin Podcast, Season 2, Episode 5. And of course, we are live and direct with all the sinners up in the house tonight. And we got Sinner JP, also known as the Mexicans. We got Sinner Mr. No Fact Check Saucedo, also known as Tyler. And of course, we got Sinner Tony, a.k.a. the Shiner in the house. And I be your host, the Toxic Sinner, Moodz. Yeah. What's good, my sins?
What's up?
What up, yo?
What is up? It feels like we haven't recorded in a long time.
At least a month.
Sometimes it feels way longer than other times.
I think because what it is because I think last month we did it the week before this. So it's like a month and a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's literally the end of May right now. Like, it's what, the 29th today?
29th,
yeah.
Yes.
And we did those two like really close together at the beginning of the year because we were all like behind.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we did like 2 weeks apart.
Yeah. I was actually itching to get this one in. I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
But so because so much has happened since the last time we recorded, they dropped all the May titles. So it was the first section was like the little pre-order flash bonus thingy thing where they announced a couple of things and then they announced the rest of the stuff last week for their halfway to Black Friday sale. So I know that, I guess off the top of the show here, I know that some of y'all were pretty disappointed in this year's titles.
Yes. I gotta say, this is one of the more disappointing, especially for how much the volume was. You know, like, I mean, it ended up being 10 titles for the halfway to Black Friday sale. And so which ones did they first? They announced Dirty Work, Jade, Swimming to Cambodia, and I think there was one more that they actually had announced. Oh, the Golden Child.
The Golden Child, yeah.
So those were the four that we knew. So if you purchased the whole package, those are the four that you knew that you were getting. Of course, there were 6 secret titles that were in there too. And right away, I was like, okay, you know, I wasn't overly like super stoked on Dirty Work and Jade, even though I love Dirty Work. But then I found out it's gonna be like a different cut of Dirty Work, and I was like, fuck yeah,
yeah. And if you actually like hear like what they did to get that cut.
Mm-hmm.
Like they pretty much like had to make the movie, like parts of the movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's pretty
cut, right?
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting that came to life, really. So I was like, I was really stoked. I mean, I shouldn't be overly mad that we're getting Dirty Work, and I'm sure it has both the cuts on it and stuff like that. I mean, I'm a fan of the Golden Child, but like, did I really need a huge monstrosity edition of it? I don't know. Maybe some people did, but to me, it seemed kind of a crazy, interesting release because, I mean, the VSU line has been kind of all over the place. Like some lower budget films, they got some bigger titles on there, so you never know what you're really getting. But overall, the 4 titles that were announced, I was like, okay. Swimming to Cambodia, I watched a trailer and I was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna like this shit at all, because that's on the cinematograph.
It at least looked like a movie that would fit that label.
Right.
We've talked about that so much, about like how they don't really like stick to what they describe the label as.
Right. Yeah, it's been a strange label for sure. And then the secret titles get announced, and then we end up getting Let's Scare Jessica to Death 4K and The Dark Half from Vinegar Syndrome. Again, it's 2 titles that I already own, so I wasn't like jumping for joy that I was just upgrading the Blu-rays were fine. I wasn't like, did I really need this? So I was a little bit disappointed with those because I like both the movies, but did I need 4Ks? I don't know. And then cinematograph, whatever, they announced Breathless on 4K, and I almost died when I saw that because I can't fucking stand that movie, and I already have an edition of it. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be keeping that one. VSA put out Iron Angels the trilogy. So that's pretty fucking cool. You can't go wrong with like Hong Kong action cinema. It's usually always really good. I haven't seen any of them, so I'm pretty stoked on that. I was also really stoked on the Charlie One Eye. It's a film that I've actually never seen. I've known about. I've read about it in my blaxploitation stuff. I've known about the shit, and I don't think it really had much released. Tony, do you know if it had any type of release before?
Not that I'm aware of.
Right. It seemed like it was very obscure. So I was like, hey, that's pretty fucking cool too. So Iron Angels 1 and 3, Charlie One Eye, pretty damn cool. DeGosser, of course, they never really disappoint me, man. Criminally Insane 2. I was like, sign me up, man. I'm cool with that, man. Vinegar Syndrome dropped Criminally Insane last year. So why not?
That was a May title too.
Yeah. So why not get the sequel, which is like the sequel's it's kind of even more insane, to be honest.
Is it Criminally Insane?
It's Criminally Insane.
Doesn't it have like intercuts of like the same footage from the first movie? And then, like, cut in with the F on now. Like
it's like Death Nurse. It's like Death Nurse. Do you remember Death Nurse, Tony? Like, I'm pretty sure the second movie is like half the first movie too. Isn't it like half the footage?
Yeah, and it's even worse than Crazy Fat Ethel 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's cool is that one has a bonus feature on it.
This guy I met at Wasteland a couple of years ago when I watched Criminally Insane for 75, like right before like the VS announced it, and I watched it and like wrote my review or whatever. Some guy I met at Wasteland a couple of years ago like commented, started talking to me about Criminally Insane 2, and it sounded so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, I love the first Criminally Insane, so
yeah, it's stupid fun. So like my thoughts overall in the package, like it's kind of hit and miss. Like I'm not saying the dark half is bad and let's scare Jessica to death. Like me personally, and it obviously varies for everyone else, but
yeah,
like I said, I already own the DVD, the Blu-rays, really good. So I'm just like, I didn't really. I was hoping for something else. It was kind of like usually these were these secret title reveals are, they're pretty extravagant sometimes. I felt like this was just a little bit lackluster, but
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, just for like comparison, last year's Black Friday titles were China O'Brien 1 and 2, Homegrown Horrors Volume 3, Invasion USA, Criminally Insane, Dangerous Game, which was Cinematograph, The Instructor, VSA,
dude,
The Ripper DeGosser, which was great, Riddle of Fire for VSP, and Navy SEALs. I don't think it's that much worse.
I'd say it's on par with last year.
Honestly, I think one of my biggest disappointments was that they didn't put out a box set this year.
I was going to say.
That was my
first
missing
thought. The box set.
Yeah, it was missing.
I would say, like, if you put all those movies together, I would say, like, I'm most excited about like the Dirty Work release than anything else.
Yeah,
I don't know,
man.
Like
Dirty Work release is most appealing to me. Just I've never seen the movie for one, but just like knowing that something that has never been seen before, like version wise, like that to me always is like the most exciting thing about any of these companies putting out titles is putting out something that hasn't been seen.
Right. Yeah, Dirty Work's really underappreciated. It feels like kind of like a lost movie that like Adam Sandler would have made in the 90s.
It's still so underrated to this day.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people.
How many people don't talk about it?
I know it's so weird.
I've never even heard of it before this.
Really, it's so fucking funny.
That's crazy.
It's so funny.
I've probably seen that movie 100 times.
I watched it like right when Norm died, and I thought it was like some of the funniest shit I've ever seen.
That's great. That's awesome.
I remember like back when it came out and shit, people were kind of realizing that Bob Saget wasn't just the dad from Full House. Like
Bob Saget directed it. Oh my god.
So once you knew Bob Saget directed the film, you're like, oh damn, dude, like he actually has a totally. But a lot of people had never seen his normal
stand-ups and stuff. He's like, not the bubbly dad from Full House.
Yeah,
he's dirty as much.
I've never seen it, but I've heard it's much dirty.
His stand-up is actually
got a lot of like dirty humor in it.
I feel like he's extra dirty just to show that he's not all bubbly.
Right. Yeah.
His stand-up has actually always been really funny to me. But then
I remember I walked in someone's house like when I was a teenager and they had one of his stand-ups on, and he was just like cussing and saying dirty shit. And I was like, dude, what? I had no idea. But then I realized like, oh, he was like a legit comic before this Full House shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that Full House shit, I mean, bro, that probably paid big.
Oh, millions, man. I mean,
hell yeah. That was like what, 10 seasons long?
He's ingrained in
and
pop
then once it
culture
got into
history, man.
syndication, you get a check pretty much forever.
Yeah.
But so for me, like, okay, yeah, I agree. Like the fact that Let's Scare Jessica and The Dark Half have had previous releases isn't the most exciting thing. But I do think like Let's Scare Jessica to Death, I think is like a perfect Vinegar Syndrome title. If that Scream Factory release didn't exist, it would totally fit. Like it's like a nice like regional,
For sure.
like moody 70s horror flick. I dig it.
I
I
like
think
that
it's a
movie a
really
lot.
dope movie.
Yeah,
At least
good.
it's a 4K too, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Um,
I think the art's nice too.
The Dark Half, is that Romero?
Yeah.
Romero, yep.
Yeah.
I've never actually seen that before.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't have the greatest reputation, but I think it's pretty decent. I've always liked it, but I like the book too.
Yeah,
The book's better.
I hate when people are like, "Oh, you know, it's not as good." I mean, I'm kind of in that boat though. Like,
It's like, yes, it's
The-
not as good, but
well,
I don't think it's like an awful movie.
the book is just it is a lot better. It really is. There's a lot of stuff
Yeah.
that was not put into the film, and like I just feel, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those movies that I think you just can't adapt it like, you know, bookend to bookend kind of thing. You just can't do it. It's just
Yeah,
I saw
too
the
much
movie
going on.
before the book.
So it does
Maybe
change
that
it a
helps.
lot for the
That's
type of movie it is.
that's a big difference if you've seen the movie first. Like
Yeah, I
For
saw
me,
the movie
like-
first.
Pet Cemetery is probably one of his most popular, most like critically loved novels.
Mhm.
I'd take the movie over the book any day.
No, I wouldn't. I think that's one of the best novels.
Right.
but-
See, that's what I'm saying. But I saw
See,
the
for
movie
me,
many times.
I'll also
before.
take the movie over the book.
It's funny because I would probably it's different. I would probably say in retrospect that the movies might even be better than the book, but it's super nostalgic for me because I've told the story before. It was the very first Stephen King novel I ever read when I was in the 4th grade. And I remember reading this shit and not knowing what some of the words were and had to look them up and stuff. But it's very
The first
nostalgic
one
to
I
me. Like
ever
it
read
scared
was-
me. Like I was so into it. I was just like reading this shit going, fuck. And then I saw the movie and it didn't disappoint me, but I was also young when I saw it. So I wasn't putting the correlation. I'm just like, it was just, I remember watching the movie going, this isn't what I envisioned. Because when you read stuff, you vision things.
Yeah.
Right? You see things differently. You create the world inside your mind. And then when you
Yeah.
watch, I think that's why movies are they're so disappointing after you read a book, because what you create in your mind
Because
is always the best version.
Exactly.
It's exactly what
Yeah.
you want because that's what you created in your mind,
Yeah.
right? So nothing can beat that. And when you see someone's actual adaptation of it visually, it's always going to be disappointing.
Yeah,
Well, the
and it's
fact
like-
is that it's always going to be different. Like if you
Yeah.
picture one character a certain way in your head,
Yeah.
and it's like completely or just not how
Well,
you look.
a lot of the
they
time
look.
they don't look the same as the book
Yeah.
either. Like I remember, like I love Christine. Like that's my favorite Stephen King book.
Yeah.
And like I remember, like I watched the movie, I liked the movie, and then I read the book there, and it had been a while since I saw the movie. But like it bothered me the girl was a brunette and like not a blonde, like she was in the book. Like stupid stuff like that.
I haven't read the
Yeah.
books or seen the movies, but I know a lot of people that have read like the Jack. What's the movie that fucking Tom Cruise did? The Jack Reacher?
Jack Ripper.
Reacher.
Reacher. So
yeah.
so those movies are based on books and stuff like that. And apparently in the books, he's like this big brooding guy and he's like a totally different type of person. Then the movies come out and it's like Tom Cruise.
Mhm.
Like,
It's
what the fuck?
really
Tom
fucking
Cruise.
funny.
And so people
Fans
were
on him
super
no
disappointed
creating
with the movies. They're like,
movies.
that's not who he is, man. What the fuck? And so I can see that too, because you have this visual in your mind, right? Like, and he's described as this big brooding dude, and you're like, you see this little puny Tom Cruise, you're like, that doesn't work, man. So I get that.
Reacher, the TV show, is good though.
Yeah.
I like when
And he is like a big fucking like hulking ass brute.
Right.
It's almost like an American version of like Sherlock Holmes. The dude's just like a fucking genius and he can just crush your skull at the same time.
it's pretty interesting when you read a book and it's very close. Like it doesn't happen as often, but like for example, the 1123 or 112263 or whatever the JFK
63,
book Stephen
yeah.
King wrote.
Yeah.
Like I thought that adaptation was really good, and I read the book first, and I was
That's
like,
a
yeah,
series.
this was
though.
about
That's a series, right?
yes, it is a series.
Yeah. series, yeah.
So,
Um, same thing with The Body. I feel like the Stand By Me movie is like it didn't miss anything from the story.
yeah, I honestly I
same
feel
thing
like a
with
lot of
Shawshank.
the I feel like a lot yeah, I would agree with that too. Like a lot of the things I think is obviously cutting down a full-size novel to fit in a movie is gonna
Mhm,
naturally
it's
like
tough.
completely churn against stuff.
but the
probably
body
gonna
is also like a
subplots and
novella.
characters.
It's not like a full.
Well, that's what I mean.
novel.
I think
Yeah,
the
but
novella is in
So
the
is
shorts. Like
so
almost
is
like adapt better.
Shawshank.
Another one that people don't talk about that often, I should say, and not don't talk about that I really like and I think follows the novella really well is At Pupil.
You know what's funny is those three movies are all from the same book.
Yeah, and they're all good.
Apt
I like.
Pupil,
I love.
the
At Pupil
Body,
is my
and
favorite
Shawshank,
story.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
At Pupil is my favorite story in that book.
Honestly, I really like that story too, and I had never seen the movie or really knew anything about it, and it was just like kind of sinister. I was like, this
Yeah.
kid's a menace, bro.
Yeah, I've watched it. I like that. The movie like has a really good take on the kid. That kid was a good actor, Brad Renfro.
Yeah,
He
different
plays it
seasons.
really well.
Different. It was different seasons, right? It was the
Yeah,
four
that's
stories.
a good short story compilation right
Yeah,
there.
At Pupil. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think 3 of the 4 have been adapted. I believe. Yeah, At Pupil
What was the last one?
It's a sick
I
Horizon.
forgot. It's like it's not like really good after you read like the other three bangers.
I actually can't remember at all. What
I
it
can't.
is.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking at the book right now. I could grab it, but I can't think of what it is. That is crazy though, man. 3 of the 4 stories got adapted. Like At Pupil, I think is a very underrated story. And
Yeah,
I think
movie's
it's the
pretty good.
best like written story in the book. Obviously, it's not the best movie. Like
it's the breathing method.
The breathing method. Yeah.
What is the story?
I can't even tell you what it's
remember.
about.
Yeah,
Isn't that the one where it's like the something about like a kid, like a baby or something?
I have no idea. I was even
Man.
thinking it was something like it was almost like a road story, but I couldn't even tell you. It's just not memorable after you read the other three.
Oh yeah, it's
stories.
about that woman that is pregnant and gets decapitated.
Right.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I remember it now.
Yeah, it's not as good as the other three.
Yeah, not even close. Not even close. No.
Yeah. But overall, the releases, I'm okay with them. I like I think Charlie One Eye is probably the one I'm like most interested in because it's kind of cool, other than like the dirty work. I don't really have a whole lot of interest. I don't have a whole lot of interest in Jade, honestly. I haven't really heard much good about it.
The Ass. I've seen that movie.
Oh yeah,
Jade to me is kind of like their release of like Sliver.
Their review of it. I watched it like in 2023 because it was like were they doing like a William Friedkin like featured on Criterion Channel that month, and Jade was one of the movies they put on, so I watched it. And I looked at my review from when I watched it, and all I said was, at least I understand that deep cut reference of the 40-year-old version now. It made me laugh my ass off.
Speaking of which, speaking of books and Sliver,
that's crazy.
I was in Goodwill and I saw it the other day. I was like, fuck it.
I got the book is probably better than the movie.
Probably.
Maybe the Jade director's cut will win you over this time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch that. I'm not.
Oh yeah, you didn't even order it, did you?
No.
Yeah, none of us picked it either.
I honestly couldn't tell you what the difference would be because I haven't seen Jade in so long, but like I wonder what's different about the director's cut. A little bit more nudity.
The
Yeah,
month was so
nudity.
bad. Tony picked something not even released from Vinegar Syndrome or a partner labels. Which we will say.
Is there no nudity in Jade?
No, there's plenty of nudity in Jade.
I was gonna say, what the fuck are you talking about?
I was about to say it's an erotic thriller, right?
I was like, there's a lot of nudity, is what I said.
I was gonna say even more, maybe some hardcore scenes.
Yeah, they got. I'm pretty sure there's like some like eyes wide shut type scenes with like the mask and like titties everywhere.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. I mean, I'll be watching anyways. It came with the sub.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, so
I mean,
we'll see how it goes.
With the show after that show, we have like our halfway through the year thing, so I pretty much need to watch like a bunch of shit still. So
kept pretty good pace. Like looking at the list of movies that have come out this year, I've done pretty good. So I feel like I'm pretty confident I'm making a list.
I only have one movie that I haven't watched yet that came out this year.
Yeah, I was need to watch Devil Doll. That was one of my hidden gems last year.
Yeah, I'm actually
Yeah,
I was
remember that
half
came
tempted to actually pick that double feature as my title.
Yeah,
I only did it because you guys already talked about it last year.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah, but that's the May titles.
Is the May titles. So what else is needs to be talked about?
June is partner label. We didn't
Oh, yeah.
really talk about the partner label titles. But I think that like I'm really bummed that we're not seeing as much Magnet as I was hoping. Magnolia rather.
I'm not gonna lie either. Like every time that's one of the labels I kind of have hopes for because we talked about like how many good potential movies they could put out
There's
that
so
we know
many.
like they have access to. And every time they put one out, it's something like I'm never really that
No, both
excited.
of their I think there was only 2 so far, right?
Yeah,
There's
they
been
were
3.
in through. I know there hasn't been many, but it's just hasn't been stuff that I've been like that excited about.
No, I was happy with at least 2.
Disagree.
What for what
Murder
label?
Party, Last Circus, and Severance were
Severance.
the
Yeah,
3
those are all
releases.
3
Oh,
great
Magnolia's
titles.
knocked out of the park every one, man. The one
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah,
disappointed
I'm
in.
all about it.
those. I don't know. I guess none of them have jumped out of me.
Oh, the
You're
last. Have
disappointed
you
in
ever seen the Last
IFC.
Circus, bro?
I don't like that movie.
What?
Yeah,
It's
I like
Iglesias
Severance.
film, man. All his movies are fucking like that. Like,
I don't like that one. I watched it for Summer Series a few years ago. I was like, I do not like
okay,
this
you need to
movie.
rewatch it. You just said a few years ago. The one label that I am really
IFC.
disappointed with right now is fucking Shutter, man.
Oh, Shutter? Thought you were
They
gonna say IFC.
they haven't dropped.
I'm gonna say IFC.
I'm most disappointed in IFC just because like they also
Oh
have
yeah,
IFC has been horrible.
Bro.
The Canyons. I'm looking at their listing right now. Like one movie I didn't bother watching for 2011 was Willem Dafoe by Abel Ferrara, and the movie's got to be that pretty unappealing for me not to watch it with all that. They
You
put
didn't
out
watch it before?
No, 440,
It's good.
444 less
It's a good
than, right?
movie.
Well, for whatever reason, I just like felt so uncompelled to watch it. I've seen the
It's
Canyons
just
they
the
put
end of the
out.
world movie. I think it's like kind of
Yeah.
cool actually, but it could have been like it doesn't really go as big as you would want it to, and it's like crazy. But it's like a pretty. I honestly thought it was pretty decent, but I just had watched it for 2011. I was like, I'm not buying this on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
The amount of
I have seen the Canyons though, which is like got legitimately terrible. Like I don't you have to be someone as talented as Paul Schrader to make a movie that bad.
I mean, Autoerotic was probably the cooler release out of everything so far that they've done.
Yeah, the complete appeal of the Canyons is Lindsay Lohan shows her tits.
Oh, I know that movie.
I feel like with the back catalog that Shutter has, the films that they are choosing to put out on physical media, and it's probably because they, that's the deals that they can do work out. So far, it has not been appealing to me at all. They're putting out all the ones that I have no interest in buying, and they do have an extensive back catalog of fucking pretty good films that have made my top 10s at the end of the year, and they're not getting releases. It's kind of annoying. So, but I get it. The IFC thing it's not very good to me either.
Yeah, the IFC thing really needs to pick up because they have a lot of good shit.
I mean, Magnolia needs to just start putting out more. They've only put out 2 this year, and it's been fantastic so far. But a lot of labels have been slow this year. VH Shitfest has been fucking slow. Saturn's Core, I guess I got 4 releases.
Saturn's Core always puts out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's rare when they miss a month.
I mean, Bleeding Skull's only put out a couple this year. Like I don't know, but it hasn't been that crazy with releases this year.
Yeah.
I don't know how up to date these are, Tyler.
I'm looking at mine. I'm only missing the new month.
Yeah,
the partner label one I did.
I mean, ETR. I mean, whatever. But they put out Video Man this year, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But
Film Movement I've bought into, and one was a re-release I already owned, and I definitely would have bought it if I didn't own it. But they've put out like 10 plus things for Film Movement Classics, not to be confused with Film Movement. That was kind of like that was my baby last year, so that's not.
There's actually a couple labels that aren't even listed in here because they haven't put out anything this year. Fucking wild. Like Umbrella's one of them. That German label's another one. Fuck.
I've bought 2 out of the 3 Connies, so maybe that's my new baby.
What? One of the 2 or one of the 3?
Yeah, the other one that came out this month I bought. That's that I'm reviewing, but yeah, I bought 2 out of the 3, and I thought they had a pretty good back 6 last year. So
I
maybe
think
that's
this
my new. Maybe that's my baby this year.
I think this is going to be
We'll
kind of
see.
interesting to see how our first half of the year top 5 lists go
I definitely
for partner
feel
month.
like I definitely will say I felt like I had a stronger no matter what happens, I feel like I had a stronger top 5 last year.
Yeah, I feel like that too.
Mm,
I feel like I
I,
think at the end of the year, at least I think 2 of mine, or maybe even 3, actually end up making my top
I
10,
think
which is
the
crazy.
4 did because I had Lily Choo Choo, I had Singapore Sling, I had
which
what
story was an April title last year?
what
mhm.
else did I have?
That
I
was
had that
like high
movie
up on all of our lists.
I had that movie Blonde Death that made my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there was both the cinematographs that came out that I don't think either of them made it, but they were like definitely releases I was happy with the first two.
Mhm.
I
What
don't
was the
think
other?
they've even matched that ever since, honestly.
Yeah, I I remember Bubble Bath would have made my top 5 I think last year, but you couldn't buy it anymore, so I didn't include it on that list. But it did make my year end list because that was at the time that Def Croc had already walked out. I liked Def Croc. That was a label I was sad to see go.
Have you bought any of their titles since they left?
I've only bought one random title at Wasteland because it was marked down to like $25 like in the collector's edition because there was like the tiniest microscopic ding on it. And I was like, I'll buy it for that for sure.
I bought Fedeline or
I will
Fedeline.
buy that movie though. Eventually I will buy Fella Day. But
Feladay, that's how you pronounce it.
I don't think I need to like pay like for the souped up version. I'll probably buy the standard one if it comes my way.
Oh, I just felt like mine was standard. It was just a case.
Yeah, it probably is. There's 2 versions. It's like I think it's like 10-15 bucks cheaper for the standard one.
Oh yeah, I don't care. I just want the fucking movie. So
I guess people were mad because there's no dub, which I probably would probably not be happy about either. But I guess it's an unofficial dub, and that's kind of why.
I'm surprised they never actually like sanction out one after the fact, like actually make one official.
Mhm.
Because it's anime. Come on, like who wants to
Yeah,
be
it
reading
might just
subs
not
when
be
they're
popular. It might just not be a popular enough thing where it's economical.
yeah.
Mhm.
Nobody's heard of the
I would,
fucking movie. They're like, I don't know about this shit.
I would like to get some more animated stuff somewhere from either the partner labels or Vinegar Syndrome. Now that we're not getting any from Death Croc because it really is kind of I do find it interesting to find like obviously everybody sees like Japanese animation, American animation, but like I feel like the rest of the world almost gets overlooked. So it's like really interesting to see like what like Hungarian animation looks like and Russian or
Yeah, I
whatever
agree.
else they're putting out.
That was kind of the cool thing about Deaf Crocodile is that they were putting out these really obscure animated films. And I was like, damn, they're piquing my interest too because I
Yeah,
love
I
that shit
picked
too,
up a
man.
bunch. I haven't liked them all. Like I'm not gonna like sit here and
Yeah, I
pretend they're
picked up
all
a few
great.
too. Yeah,
But I definitely have watched a couple where like I thought it was really good.
but you're right though, man, because like when it comes to animations, like American, Japanese, and then no one else exists. It is
Yeah.
weird. It is weird.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely out there. It's definitely out there for the taking, and you just got to find it and shit. And
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just like it's really cool to see a fresh perspective if you even if I feel like animation wise too, since I'm just like so like open to anime now that like I kind of respect the art form more than I ever have in my life. That I'm just like I'm actively like interested in seeing what it looks like in other places in the world.
right. Yeah. Um. Anything else, JP?
Nope.
Okay. Well, with that said, I mean that's our kind of recap of the Black. I was going to say Black Sunday, Black halfway to Black Friday sale items. Proceed with caution, in my opinion. But that's going to include the intro. All right, so let's get into these solo reviews. Before the show started, I determined the order. And it's going to be JP, then me, Tyler, then Tony. So JP, hit us up.
All right. Best for first, huh? All right.
Maybe actually.
So the title that I picked today is once again something that makes me stupid. So it is Bone Sickness, from director Brian Pollan. And funny thing about Bone Sickness is I've owned this title on DVD for like 10 years from I think it was Unearthed.
Fucking Christ, JP.
And it's sealed, sitting on a shelf. Never opened it, never watched it. So talk about an obsolete release that is just literally had for no reason. But yeah, I don't know. I saw I try to hit all different avenues throughout the year. I don't think I've done I pretty much stuck around Vinegar Syndrome proper lately, I feel, for the last couple titles. So I did a Saturn's Core because I would say at the end of the day, like Saturn's Core is probably like top one or two, three favorite sub labels that they have partnered with. So I wanted to definitely get a Saturn Score. And Bone Sickness sounded cool. And I'd heard about it before. In fact, I remember Moodz reviewing it before, like years ago.
I've actually reviewed like all of Brian Pollan films. I love him as an independent filmmaker.
So I wanted to check it out. And boy, am I glad that I did. Because this movie is fucking awesome. So it says here on the back that it's sort of like a Fulci inspired film from local Massachusetts filmmakers in the like shot on video genre, I guess. This one was shot on like a little digital cameras from back in like the early 2000s. I think that from what I understand, I think this movie took about 3 or 4 years to make, which does not surprise me based on the content. But essentially the plot follows a character named Alex who is suffering from a terminal bone disease. He's all sick and shit. And his wife is real concerned about him. It's funny because I actually thought that woman was his mom at the beginning of the movie. This, it just seemed like it was his mom. I don't know.
Youngest mom ever.
I was gonna say young and
I didn't think she
fucking
looked
hot
that
too, man.
young, bro. I
Oh
don't know.
damn!
I think that chick is so hot, man.
Yeah, I was into it.
Yeah.
Man.
So when traditional methods of medicine fail, she starts getting more like holistic methods, and she has an idea to basically use like human body parts like bone marrows and shit to counteract this disease. She enlists the help of her friend who is Thomas, Alex's best friend actually, and he works at a morgue, so he has access to all this body shit. So he starts grinding up body parts and shit, giving them to Alex. Alex starts puking up worms for some reason, but I'm down with it. And basically, then it turns into a zombie film, and then it turns into something even crazier, which I don't really want to spoil because it's just wild. But yeah, that's basically the plot. Like, in my opinion, dude, like, and I'm not trying to sound like too rambunctious here, but I think this is like a low budget indie masterpiece in a way. Like, for this type of movie, like the shot on video type of, no budget movies, like this, what they pulled off with this is fucking incredible. Like, sure, it has tons of flaws. Some of the story doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There is actually a little bit of downtime in the movie, but they do try to have something going on like every couple minutes, whether it's just something, random or like a death or something like that, or just something gross. So there are problems, but I think they do a really good job considering it is 102 minutes long. There's so much carnage in this movie. Like, it's sort of like a splatter film in a way, and it has so much carnage. Like, first of all, like the effects, all the gore and stuff, some of it actually looks amazing, some of it looks okay, but they like threw everything in the kitchen sink into this movie in attempts to make something cool. And you could just tell the people who made this movie are just massive horror fans and massive like passionate people who wanted to make movies. And when we talk about especially shot on video stuff and stuff from that era of the 80s all the way up to like the early 2000s of these people who just do it yourself type movies where they just put their heart and soul into it and do the best with what they have. I mean, this is like at the forefront of what's possible. Like a little bit in like the in the commentary, like they talk about the money they had for the movie, and they're like, people always ask us the budget, and it's like we didn't have any budget. We just had what we had. Like we didn't have like, oh, we set aside $10,000 to make this movie. They just made it over the course of years with the means that they had. Like some of the like forklifts and stuff, they used their work equipment that their boss was like, yeah,
Does
you
he
want to
ever
make a movie?
disclose?
Sure, go ahead.
I've always thought about stuff like that. Like I was like, ooh. I remember like early days when I started my with the company I work with now, thinking like, I could like make a fucking movie in here, and I could put
Yeah.
someone on this forklift and lift them up and down and get cool shots.
Yeah.
Does Paulin ever disclose approximately how much he spent on this?
Yeah, like $4,000
Total.
That's what he kind of said, but like
holy fuck.
But obviously like it's hard to determine a budget when it's like, well, do you count like the forklift that we used from work? Like do you count like the car that somebody had in their backyard that we destroyed? Like, you know what I mean? Like how do you quantify that into a budget?
Yeah.
Do you count like the scorpion pets that I put in the movie or whatever? You know what I mean?
I love
Like,
that they were credited at the end too.
Yeah, I know, it's so funny.
Yeah, and it bleeds passion, bro. And well, like when I was watching it, I was like, this is pretty dope. But I was like, this is, there's some downtime and stuff. But then it really does pick the hell up at the like last act. Like after the like end of the movie, the final like 20 or whatever minutes, I'm like, I literally could not have asked for anything better. Like they went above and beyond. Like there's literal like car flips and shit, you know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
I feel like there's carnage through like pretty much the whole film though. I mean, there might be a little bit of downtime, but for an indie film, I feel like this has some of the most special effects I've ever seen.
Oh, 100%.
There's like hundreds and hundreds of on-screen special effects that are just, it's crazy how much effort is put into
and
this.
Paulin did most of that stuff himself.
Yeah.
Which he has a knack for some special effects. So like that always helps if you have natural talent when it comes to effects. But they also like there's a scene where I'm just like, this is crazy. Like there's a car that hits another car and goes up like, ramps it and flips. And there's a dude on the car that they hit that flies in the air off of that car. And it's just a guy did that. I think it might have been Paulin. I don't know.
Like who would have ever thought you would see that type of action sequences in the type of movie that you got for the first 6 or 70 minutes before that?
I know, and
it's
it was
fucking
just
wild.
so impressive, man.
Yeah,
I was like,
I know.
I was like, dude, I got to give this guy credit, man. Like this guy really went for it. He did as much as he possibly could. And when you hear the backstory of the movie, it's even more interesting. And something like this is something I give so much credit to because it's something I would do. And I always am like, why like do people not do this on these like indie movies? Like there's scenes where the dude starts puking up worms. Dude puts worms in his mouth and puke and just and throws them up out of his mouth. Yeah. That's it. Like there was no cut or anything. Like he actually put worms in his mouth and spit them up. And like to me, that's like you don't need any kind of budget to do that. You just get some worms and put them in your fucking mouth.
Easy
and it's
balls.
like I would do that. Like I don't give a fuck. It's just worms. Like I've eaten them.
If I was really invested in a movie and I was an actor, I'd take one for the team and do it. Like
dude,
as a director.
Well,
like,
if you're buying Nightcrawlers up here, man, you do need a budget because them motherfuckers are like $9 a little fucking thing now.
That like believability between an actor and the director, I think, could make so much difference in a low budget movie. Like if you look at something like Evil Dead, do you think like they could have made that same product if like Bruce and Sam weren't like on like the same
Homies, yeah,
wavelength. But yeah,
probably
just said,
not.
yeah, dude, I'll fucking do it. I'll do whatever it takes for
Yep.
this movie.
Yep. And that's how these two work together too, the lead actor and Brian Pollan. And so many people played so many zombies and double role, like triple, quadruple, six times roles and shit. And there's literally like just so much like brain splatter, gut eating, like it's gnarly, dude. There's so much effects in this movie. And it's just I can't even think of all of them, you know what I mean? And when you actually like look into the backstory, which made me love the movie even so much more, like through some of the special features and stuff, which by the way, I just got to give Saturn's Core credit that I think they are the best when it comes to the special features. Like
Oh, yeah.
they load their releases, bro.
Not
So
even close.
you have a brand new commentary with Brian Pollan, the director, and the actor who played Alex, who was also a producer and played a bunch of other characters. Um, then you have a new audio commentary with some like cult movie fans, and then you have an archival commentary with um, the from like 2004 or 5 with Brian Pollan and Rich George as well. So it's interesting to hear that early commentary from like when the movie first came out to the 2025 version, because it's the same guys talking about the same movie, but 20 years later. And just hearing like some of the stories and things like that, like how the movie came about. And like Brian Pollan's a really interesting dude, like the way he like takes criticism and things like that. Like, so originally there was a version of this movie that came out, and it is included in this disc. I did not watch it because after listening to the commentary, I felt like they pointed out everything they changed.
Yeah, yeah.
But there was after they got a deal with Unearthed, they did a bunch of reshoots. And that's what this version is, and the one that came out on Unearthed was like the full version with the reshoots. And but one of the like little things that he did differently in the new version, or you know, the Unearthed version basically, is like he talks about there was a criticism where he was reading a review because he used to read like all the reviews that came out and stuff. The person was like, there's the character's walking around her house with a flashlight. Why didn't she just turn the lights on? And he's like, fuck. He's like, I totally forgot to shoot her trying the lights. So in the reshoots, he made a point to go and have her just do a quick shot of trying to flip the light and it not coming on. And I was just like, see, that's somebody who like agreed with that guy. And it's funny, he tells the story. He actually wrote that guy, and he's like, hey, by the way, so I did some reshoots on the movie, and that light thing, I fixed that. And the dude was like, what the fuck? Like, that's so random. But just like stuff like that, it was just great to hear, like hearing these stories and stuff. And just like them beating the shit out of cars and stuff like that. And like just the different like things that they got to do, and like how, like, you know, there's a scene where the one girl is like half in half, and she has her like kind of like Return Living Dead 3 with like the talking zombie that they pull through the window. And how they did that with like they just put like basically plyboard, cut a hole out, put her inside it, you know, just hearing them talk about like how they did effects like when they did them and stuff. And there's something that happens. There's like almost like a little twist in the movie that's like revealed like at the end of the movie that like basically makes it more than just like a zombie movie per se. And like you don't really see it coming, but there are like but when he did reshoots, he put like hints of it throughout the movie, and things like that. And I do think it probably flows better, not seeing the first version, but just the idea that there was none of that before. And I think that was like really a cool idea because it just sort of like set it apart from just like a generic zombie movie, plot wise, to sort of have this X factor that is also involved in the zombie situation that you really I've never seen before. But it was a cool idea, and I give him props for coming up with that and trying something different to sort of make it unique. And there's also other things in the movie that are just like random. Like there's a scene, Moodz, if you've watched this recently, the scene with the girl on the pole. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So that was shot for a completely different movie.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of stuff in this movie was shot for a different movie. So they did such a good job of like sort of like making a movie out of like some of this stuff.
Hmm.
So yeah, because like they gave up on like a different movie before this movie and stuff like that.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. That probably
But
explained why there's so like was it some of the special effects and stuff like that
some of the
too?
special effects, some of the
Yeah.
car stuff, I think.
Because there's literally so much in this movie. Like you made a point of not even being able to remember all the effects and all the kill. Like there's so much. There really is so much. Like it's just nonstop. I
And
feel
it really like I don't like saying like, oh, this is like a Fulci movie because it's not in terms of like visually, like in terms of just quality. Like Fulci's more like cinematic and stuff, but the spirit
it's
is there,
inspired by
bro.
the gore is it's definitely
The
inspired by.
gore, but even like the very last shot of the movie set in the winter, like it's just a shot,
Yeah.
really. And I'm like, oh, that just feels like Fulci. Like
Yeah.
that just feels like something inspired by like the end scene of Zombie or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just like so the spirit of Fulci is definitely in this movie. And even like the look of the zombies, the more like dry, like rotted, like um almost like dusty looking vibes to them. And he even said too that like he always heard people say like, oh, I love burial grounds because like the zombies like hold like scythes and stuff like that. He's like, I want to have my zombies use weapons a little bit. And I was like, yeah, I could totally see like the inspirations from like all this stuff. But like I'm not trying to oversell the movie because like if you're not into like the indie like do it yourself shit, like and you watch this, you might be like, what the fuck is this? But like in real if you even slightly like that stuff, like this is the like one of the best movies you can watch for that because it truly captures everything that I love about the do it yourself mentality. And that's why I said like for the type of movie it is, it's kind of a masterpiece in a way. Um I don't want to oversell it, but I really was like floored by this one. And I was like, damn, this fucking movie kicks so much ass. Like it kicks so much ass. I watched the movie, I instantly listened to the commentary, and then the next night I listened to the second commentary. So, like I was saying, the disc is loaded. You have four like you have the original commentary, the new commentary for 2025 with the director and producer actor, and then like I said, you have that fan commentary from like cult film fans, which I don't know who they are, Justin DeLaCaux and Adam Thorne. I didn't listen to that, but there is also the other cut of the movie on the disc, which, like I said, I did not watch, but I think it's cool it's included. And there's actually a commentary for that cut as well. So like four commentaries or something like that. Yeah, archival demo version commentary with Brett. So this was like the Bone Sickness demo version, original 2004 cut with alternate scenes and footage. So that was the cut that sort of Unearthed Films saw and was like, yeah, we want to purchase your movie or whatever. And but they gave him some money to do some reshoots or something like that, make it a little bit better. One thing that I heard in the original commentary, which kind of bummed me out a bit, is they said they were making a Bone Sickness 2 and
Yeah.
Unearthed Films was producing it. And this was back in like 2005 that they said this. So I don't think anything ever happened with that, but that kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I've not seen, I think I might have seen one other of Pollan's films like years and years ago. But it made me really want to check out more of his movies because he is sort of like just a dope ass dude. And like he was even talking about like some of the stuff in the like those SWAT jackets and stuff like that. Um, he still has his and he wears it like all the time, like just because it's warm. And just stuff like that, bro. Like I don't know. I was smiling, cheesing while watching this movie. I think that it's one of the funnest like releases I've had in a bit. So yeah, I give the movie a 7.5 out of 10.
I thought you were gonna come in higher.
Yeah, me too.
Because like right when like you said right at the beginning you said like for the type of movie this is I think is a masterpiece. I was kind of like,
Yeah,
all
but
right,
my
it's gotta
ratings
be
aren't
at
for the
least
type
like
of movies. It's
yeah.
just that like my ratings are just across the board.
That seems like a rating I would give it.
I don't
after
have a
deleting
special scale. But dude, I mean, in terms of fun, like this shit is fun, bro.
Yeah,
like
man.
if you like, this is a group movie. This is like I just wanted to even meet this guy because like I think that he's dope. And
Well, just like what you were talking was like, yeah, we just did what we did, and we tried to make a fucking good movie. Like that's the kind of person that you can have a beer with and just talk about
yeah.
like cool shit with filmmaking.
yeah, and it's funny because he's like very Massachusetts, so like all of his like he does that thing where he says "idea" with
I
an
do
R.
also, oh,
Dude, his
man.
accent
Well, that's
is
like
the
He
most-
sounds
Eastern-
he sounds just like Mark Wahlberg to me.
yeah,
Every
so
time
that's like
he
the
opens his
Eastern,
mouth.
like Rhode Island part. Of,
Yeah,
of
dude, it's like
Massachusetts. I
straight
noticed
up,
that
like-
too. People always just say Boston accent, but I have like a good group of friends like in like the Providence, Rhode Island area, and they all talk like they're from Boston. It's so funny.
Yeah, it was like
They'd be
Providence.
they'd be making up words, man. Idea doesn't have an R in it.
Idea.
yeah, idea.
Idea.
They always end everything that ends with an as an
Yeah,
Like
It's so weird.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like going to the cinema, you're going to the cinema.
I don't know what happened.
Or like-
or they can't
But
pronounce.
like, where
their
does that
Rs.
come from? Like, why are you just throwing on extra?
I don't know.
They-
It's
they're-
really
I
they
saw
gotta
strange.
something the
some-
other day.
I'm just gonna throw an extra consonant on the end of
They
this.
got to
one.
do
That's
something
cool.
with the R they can't pronounce, like in Pak the Ka and the Yod.
Yeah,
Or,
Yeah,
I
and
can't
then
even
in
say-
horror, it's horror.
Yeah,
Yeah.
horror.
Weird.
So
Horror.
let me ask you guys this, because I saw speaking of like regional accents and like dialects and stuff. Do you guys know what gypped is?
No,
Yeah,
Like
it's a
getting
slur.
gypped.
It's a
that's
slur.
what I was thinking too. Yeah, we'll get shipped this month.
Yeah, I know. Like this, so this is a story my girlfriend's told me multiple times, where like she had a professor, like someone like in a school system that like actually had like gypsy blood, and like someone said like gypped in front of him in the classroom, and he got all offended.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that at all.
I was gonna say probably
so
not.
apparently it's like more of a Pittsburgh thing, but I didn't know this. So like, let's say somebody like cuts you in line, you'd be like, "Yo, that fucking guy gypped me." You know, like, no.
Oh,
No,
like
we
yeah.
don't.
I've always
We
we've
don't
always
use it that
used
way.
Yeah,
we always use it
like
as
that,
in like
if
getting
you-
ripped off.
Yeah, like
Exactly.
yeah,
how
that's
we
kind of
use
what it
it.
means. Like he ripped me
Yeah,
off, bro.
so that comes from like gypsy,
gypped me.
like gypsies.
but we
ripping,
wouldn't
like,
use it
people
in
off
that
and, like, tricking
context though.
people.
Like if
Yeah,
someone,
not
that's-
in getting cut in line.
yeah, I would never
Why?
say
Yeah.
I got gypped. I'd be like, yo, I'd be like, that guy fucked me over. Like whatever. Like I wouldn't say gypped though, because I associate gyp with being like totally just straight up ripped off.
Yeah,
Like
again, like ripped
stolen,
off.
like something stolen off you. No, like
Exactly.
gypped is
Could
more
be.
like
Yeah.
like someone did me wrong. Like
Yeah,
and,
like
took
like you
advantage
paid-
of the situation.
You paid $15 for what you thought was gonna be like an upscale burger. You got like a junior bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah, that's gypped.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it
Yeah,
also
like the
applies to,
prices on the Cinematograph titles.
Yeah, I
we,
got
we get
gypped.
gypped on those every fucking month.
Oh man, I hope we don't have any gypsy fans that are gonna leave us now after this conversation.
Damn. I didn't realize. I guess that kind of makes sense now.
Yeah, he got like I'd never like no one ever said that to me. It makes perfect sense, and like I guess like someone said it in front of him, and he got really upset, and he was like, "That's a slur," and explained it to him.
That's so funny though. Now that you like mentioned that, it makes so much sense.
Is that it, JP?
Yeah. Bone
Did we
Sickness kicks ass.
did we mention Brian Pollan's hair during this review?
No,
Because that's
but-
probably like my favorite aspect of like him, and
He
all
just
of
won't
his
let it go.
movies.
He won't let it go.
Beautiful long hair with those bangs and everything. Just his entire like look to me is like so iconic at this point.
But it's funny because if you look at him, he's one of those dudes that like loves his long hair and he does what he can with it, but he's totally thin on top. And it has his, as you watch his movies, when he get, as they progress, he gets thinner and thinner, but he's still rocking the same hair. It's fucking amazing. I love Brian Paul, man. Shout out to Brian Paul.
What about
Mhm.
berm? You guys say berm?
No, I've never heard that.
BURM.
Yeah, people say berm here,
It's like the edge
but
of
not
the road.
everybody.
I've never
Yeah.
heard that.
I don't even know what the fuck you're even saying.
Kids
berm.
say stuff like,
What,
people-
do you guys
kids
say
s-
buggy
No.
for shopping carts?
Oh, bug.
Some people do.
Yeah, I use buggy all the time.
Like Ohio's like a hodgepodge of, or maybe it's just Columbus in general.
Well, what the hell else do you call it? We just call
What
it
do you
buggies.
guys call? What do you guys call?
They
Soda?
call it carts or some
Oh,
shit.
you can call cart. We call carts buggies. It's same shit.
What do you guys
Everybody
call
knows what you're
soda?
talking about.
What about sweeper? You guys say that?
What's that for?
Instead of a
A
vacuum.
vacuum? Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
I
people
actually
here
use the
say
term
that.
vacuum.
Yeah, we say
Do
vacuum.
you guys have chipped ham?
No, I don't know what that is.
Really? That's
Yeah.
wild, bro.
Chipped ham?
Chipped ham, yeah.
Is
What's
it
that?
Like
some
when you go to
redneck
the
shit?
deli, and like when you get it cut like real thin, it's chipped. That's what it's called.
It's an
Chipped.
interesting
I've never
term.
heard that in my life.
Yeah,
No.
we don't do that here.
That's crazy. Y'all's are so close to each other too, man. It's
We would call it like
it's
we would probably just call it like thinly sliced.
What about hoagies? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
you guys say?
Nobody like
hoagie's
someone,
another
like-
term for sub.
Yeah,
Somewhere, that's where it comes
I
from.
wouldn't say-
We do every term here, honestly.
Yeah, we have them all,
I
too.
would say the most prominent term here is grinder, but if someone says hoagie, they know what you're talking about, and hoagie's probably number 2.
Yeah, grinder's
Okay.
definitely more of an American thing because I've used the term grinder before and people look at me like I'm talking about grinding some shit up for real. Like they have no idea what I'm talking about. So
what about Jimmy's?
That's like a Cape Cod thing here, so like really far out east. That's sprinkles, right?
Yep. Sprinkles.
Yeah. So part.
I thought you were talking about Jimmy hats, like condoms.
No.
Like Jimmy
I've heard-
hats.
what I was
I've
thinking.
heard that. I've heard that before.
What
I
about
think that's
what about
I think
Crick?
what about what?
Crick. Them kids down there at the Crick are catching crayfish.
No, we
At the
don't say
creek
that.
or crick?
We don't have those
Crick.
here.
Yeah,
Crick.
we get crick.
I mean, we
and
probably
creek.
do actually.
That's just a hillbilly thing.
It's a creek.
Yeah.
Like how it's
I feel
actually
if he went to
pronounced.
I feel if he went up to the hills in Massachusetts, down like more like where the Appalachian Mountains are, I'm like in like 45 minutes an hour away from there.
You know the worst one for me? This
Hear
one
it.
I can't stand. Stillers.
I have no idea what that is.
The
It's
Steelers.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, they call them the Stillers?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
You see Big Ben retired from the Stillers? That's what they say.
It
That's how
sounds like he
sounds.
retired from like a
That just
distillery.
sounds
Like
they
you're talking
speak
about a
redneck.
distillery at that point.
Stillers. Everybody
sounds
says
like-
that too. It's
He
like
retired from
I'd
the
say
fucking
90%
whiskey
of
distillery.
people here say Stillers and not Steelers.
Yeah, that's just an accent thing, I think. Or they're just
The rednecks.
That's
And
fine.
that
All
they
the
say and that.
above. That's
All right,
hilarious,
let's get
man.
on with the reviews and that.
Oh,
And that.
but you didn't say the yins.
Yins. Yeah, that Yins is everybody.
Or
knows
yins. Oh yeah,
We're
it's actually
Yinsers.
yins.
Yeah.
So that's like pronounced with a Y, like yins.
YINZ.
NS. Oh Z.
It's-
Yins.
yeah, it's
oh, it's
pronounced
like so it's
exactly how it
super
looks.
slang. You got a Z on the end of there, so it's super slang.
Yeah, Yinsers.
All right, well that makes sense. Okay.
Yins kids behave down there.
Okay, I can see someone saying that, but nobody talks like that here. That just we don't have accents.
It's kind of like
that
it's
here.
kind of like
I
the
never
opposite of just
realized
saying y'all.
Pittsburgh has like the ugliest fucking accent.
You sound. If you were like telling me all these things, like I would think.
Oh,
you're
here's
from
one.
much further south.
Here's one. Jeet.
What?
Jeet.
G like
G?
GEE?
What'd you say, Tony?
G, like the letter.
No, J. Jeet.
Like are you saying Jeet?
Like I'll say like
Jeet?
it's been a long day. Jeet yet?
Oh,
my
G, yeah.
God.
Oh, it's just like it's a progression of how you're talking.
That's what I mean. Like I would think if
G
you're
yet?
telling me this stuff,
Everybody
you're
says
from
that. Jeet yet?
I would think
Just
you're
saying
from
G.
Alabama.
Come on in, boys.
Not
Jeet
even
yet?
given the yet.
I mean, if I was talking to you, I would be like, "Y'all's eat yet?"
Yeah,
But
based
people
on,
don't
like,
talk
what
like me
you-
though. Like no one says y'all's around here.
yet?
Like I'm one of the only people that talks like
based
that.
on, I didn't realize people that north talked like that. I thought I would if I didn't know you, I would think you're from Alabama. You started saying shit like that.
What's
James
saying
G?
y'all's?
What? Okay, here's
Jeet
one.
and
Nebby.
Oh, Jeet, yeah, man.
Do you guys know what
Like-
Nebby is?
Nope.
Really?
Nebby.
Really?
idea.
That one's surprising. Nebby.
Oh.
Yeah, like I'll say like, bro, back up. Quit being so nebby.
No, have no idea. What
Literally
you're
have
talking
Like-
not heard that
Like,
once in my
let's
life.
say I'm like reading a text from some girl or something, and you're like over my shoulder. I'll be like, stop being so nebby.
about. So you're in someone's bubble then.
You're like nosy.
I've never heard that.
Nebby. Never heard it.
Never heard that one.
Dude, I just say
that's the
fuck
one that
off.
surprises you, and we've literally never heard of it.
Yeah, we just
not even
because I
watched
say
it.
Nebby all the time. Quit being so Nebby.
It sounds like a fucking millennial thing, man, or Gen Z thing to say.
Yeah,
man.
the Gen Z kids here say shit like skibbity toilet. I have no idea.
Yeah, they say some shit nowadays. I'm just like, what the fuck y'all's talking about, man? Like, I have no idea what they're talking. Like, they can have full conversations, and they could have just told me I was a piece of shit, and I have no idea.
I've adapted a couple of their terms. I like saying crash out. That's a fun one.
Oh, crash out. I crash out has grown on me.
Yeah, I like that one.
I'm so behind. I don't know what any of that shit is.
Crash out means like you have a breakdown, like
if you're just like get so pissed off again and start like flipping out, like you're crashing out.
Okay, how in the fuck did we get on this lingo shit? Oh, the Brian Paulin thing.
Yeah. And we just had too much fun with it.
Because he really does like have that. Minutes. He really does have that stereotypical, like Boston accent. It almost seems like it's overpronouncing it too. I remember reading a review one time about like it even the review even said that the guy is putting on the worst Boston accent ever, and I'm like, bro, he's literally just talking for real.
People say, I don't think people realize what a Boston accent actually is.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah.
Now that like maybe I'm just hungry, but now that you said Boston accent, I just keep thinking of like all the times I went to concerts at House of Blues, which is across from Fenway Park. And the best part about it is the second you walk out the door, there's a guy in a cart ready for you that just going sausage, get your hot sausage, and it's just the best fucking thing to eat back.
You actually don't have you don't have a thick accent at all.
No, because I live an hour and a half away from Boston. I live closer to like the hills and the rednecks. I live like in the western part of the state, but like an hour from like the New York border and like 20 minutes from like Connecticut.
Yeah, you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't know. Crazy.
Yeah, I live in a metro area too. Like I'm a city over. I'm a city over from one of the biggest cities in the state.
I wish you did have an accent.
Yeah, that would be fun actually.
Sorry, my bad.
What does Ohio say anything?
Not really. Ohio's just normal, plain and
normal,
not interesting.
Yeah, especially your football teams.
Yeah.
No, they're definitely interesting. Good.
I guess that's true.
That's the question.
All right, whose turn is it? Oh, so you guys did, Tony? I assume you watched Bone Sickness.
Yes.
You like it?
Yeah, I love it for pretty much exactly what you said. It's probably up there in the most ambitious like shot on digital video movies probably ever.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you also said earlier, like it's not a surprise that it took 4 years to make, especially considering Brian Paulin did all the effects by himself. And it's just pretty much just like a local labor of love.
Yeah,
like I saw that Rich George did all the stunts and everything, so it's pretty much everybody did multiple jobs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and everybody, even like the other actors in the movie, like put on zombie shit, and just random guys that they met, like that they worked with or something. Like, hey, can you do this? Like, I love shit like that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things about Bone Sickness, man, obviously it's just the nonstop carnage, man. I mean, obviously the chicks are hot. I mean, you got to have the titties and boobs in there and stuff like that too. But
yeah,
there is kind of like a reveal in the film too that like I think is the coolest shit, and they look super fucking cool.
Yeah, that's what I love
too. But it makes sense in the narrative too because they're like kind of, and we get it. Like I love how he does it too because there's a moment in the film where there is some people that are fucking kind of gnarled up and shit like that, and you don't really realize what it is until you get this kind of reveal later on. I think that's actually really fucking cool how he did that, but they look awesome.
And honestly, like all the like skeletons
awesome.
And like just the corpses and stuff look all cool. Like it's actually funny. The one scene in the morgue where he pulls the ribs out of the body.
I think he literally pulls out pork ribs.
Yeah, he's like, those are actually ribs.
I know. I can tell. I said to myself, I was like, those are totally pork ribs. Those are like honey
baby back ribs, bro.
Already cooked and everything.
Yeah, you can tell. Like I'm pretty sure they had the sauce on them, dude. Like, it'll double his blood.
They had the honey garlic sauce on them for sure.
I was like, that's just like a slab of ribs, dude.
So funny. Well, you can tell though.
What a waste.
I'm sure they ate them.
But you're right about the worms though, man. It's so fucking gross when dudes like
I love it.
puking up those worms and they're like moving around after and shit. There's no cuts, right? Like it's coming out of them, and then it happens again. You're like, oh, dude, come on, man.
One other thing
Worms
that
are
he
vile.
said, he's like, so we kept fucking finding these beetles everywhere, and we're like, where the fuck are these beetles coming from? He's like, then I like found out that mealworms turn into beetles
Oh shit.
because they had a bunch
I
of.
don't think I knew
mealworms.
that either.
I didn't know that. I was like, ugh,
That's wild.
that's gnarly.
The horror movie after the horror movie, right?
Good
Jesus.
shit though, man. Pick it
Yeah.
up. Pick it up. Definitely
Really
pick
good
it up.
shit. I can't believe it took
And
you that
his
long
other
to watch
movie
it.
too.
What is it?
The other Brian Paula movie that Saturn Score did.
What is it?
At Dawn They Sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, I
That's
don't
also a
know
really
that.
good
I'll have to
release.
pick that up.
Yeah, it was made before this one. Yeah, I mean, fuck JP, just check out his next ones, man. Like Fetus and fucking
I think Fetus
Blood
I may
Pigs.
have seen like when I was like on YouTube like 15 years ago or something, but I can't remember.
yeah, they're crazy. Super ambitious films. All right. All right, so I'm up and I chose the film from this was Magnolia. Magnet. From 2006, we have got Severance, a film that, I've been familiar with for years, seen it before, directed by Christopher Smith, who actually had done Creep just prior to this. And from what he even said in the special features, that he didn't really have any ambition to really return to the horror genre right away. But the script kind of showed up and he's like, yeah, I can fuck with this kind of thing. So he ends up making Severance. If you're not familiar with Christopher Smith, he is a British filmmaker. So
And pretty much a horror filmmaker.
yeah,
Was
pretty
it
much.
He kind of fell in his typecast.
Right.
Was he not in the bracket?
He
I think
was.
he was.
He was. Yeah. Yeah. Because I remember talking about Triangle and Black Death that he did.
Yeah,
right?
I heard Black Death is really good, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, Black Death is really good, actually. They actually bring it up in one of the commentaries. I think he was talking about maybe his daughter or something like that, or one of his friends was like, why didn't you do this in Black Death? And he's like, wow, fuck. Like giving him criticism about it and stuff. But so essentially Severance is about a team of coworkers. There's about 7 coworkers. They work for a company called Palisade. They specialize in creating weapons for war and stuff like that. And they're a bunch of like sales representatives. And the idea behind the film is they fly from England to Hungary for a team building weekend. And of course, they get to Hungary, and unbeknownst to them, they are basically getting hunted and picked off one by one. Short and long of the synopsis.
It's about as descriptive of a slasher as you can get.
Yeah. So it's it's the same old, but a little bit different. But so this film opens up with, it's kind of interesting because if you went into Severance not knowing that this movie was going to be like a comedy slasher film from the opening scene, you would be like, what the fuck, right? Because the opening scene is actually straight up horror. Like, we've got a couple girls that are running from something. They fall into like a bear hole, and this other guy's running away and shit, and he ends up getting fucking caught up in one of those snares and pulls him up, and he ends up getting murdered. And it's like very horrific. It's super bloody and gory and shit like that. And you're like, damn. And then it just cuts into your characters. And then we get introduced to like these 7 main characters, which this is one of those type of films that's not it doesn't have any lead characters. Like, it's an ensemble, which really does work for the film. Because all 7 of these sales representatives, people that work for Palisade Weaponry, are very well written and very well defined within the film. Like I said, there's 7 of them. We've got Danny Dyer in the film, who plays like this kind of sex addict, and he's very kind of like posh like that and shit. He's one of the funnier characters in the film, and they do it really right too, because like he's all into like the sex stuff and shit, and he's kind of a creep and stuff, but he's very likable at the same time. They wrote his character very, very, very cool. And of course you have like this boss guy that he's kind of the leader, but he's not really in charge because he's kind of an idiot and stuff like that. But he's not a moron. He's written really, really well. He just can't control situations as well as he probably should. Then
yeah, he's a little bitch.
Yeah, he's like a little bitch. And then you have like the group fucking groupie, whatever you want to call him. This guy's like so into like the team building aspect that he's willing to take charge and everything. He's like this little goofy fucking character. Then you got a couple females in the film too, where you got, she's kind of like a straight edge kind of square character. She's really, really well written. And then you have the one American character where it's so American to write this. I didn't even find it overly cliche though too, because she's not really defined as this type of person, but like, America, with the guns and weaponry, it kind of makes sense and stuff like that. But she is kind of written like it makes sense that she works at this weaponry place and sells guns and stuff like that because she kind of gets really into it, like her character. And then you have the one kind of salesman who is like, this dude that's, he's the best salesman ever. And he's got that attitude and shit like that. And then you got I want to say token black guy in the film too. Because it just seems like you always just have one, and his character's fun too. He's kind of square. He's kind of on the level too and stuff like that. But the one thing I like about this movie is that these characters are all very well written, all very defined in what their roles are. And what makes this movie really work for what it is, it's a comedy slasher film. And I've always thought about this too, because with this movie, Severance is one of those films that I feel like doesn't work as a straight up comedy with the horror elements, and it wouldn't work as a straight up slasher film, but it works together as both, if that makes any sense. I think that they do it completely right, because I think a lot of people struggle with a lot of old school slasher films where, a director wants to create these characters and wants the viewer to enjoy and get to know and like these characters before the carnage starts. Well, that's kind of what they do here, but they create, like I said, the characters are so well written in this film, and they do that. We have this opening scene where we have this mad carnage and nothing really happens horror wise until like 45, 50 minutes into the movie, but you kind of forget about the opening scene that's super horrific because the characters are so interesting and the comedy elements in this movie are so fucking well written that it keeps you intrigued and you really get to like these characters and you really, you get so involved with them, right? So when shit starts going down, it's so fucking effective. And, the comedy in the film is not like your typical type comedy. It's not like punchline, dirty, grotesque, over the top type physical comedy and stuff like that. A lot of the comedy comes from very witty lines. It's the type of like comedy that's written where it takes the editing to kind of accentuate the comedy also. It's just I really like this in the film. It's not trying too hard to be like just over the top, like sometimes punchline comedy can be funny, but it doesn't do that. It's very witty is what I'm trying to say. The comedy is very, very witty. All the characters have all great lines in the movie that are, like I said, not punchline, but it's relative to their characters. It doesn't seem out of character when they say some things and stuff like that. One of my favorite actual gags in the film is this really great scene where the American girl, she's standing there and she's standing in the just before dinner and somebody asks her, they're like, well, you hungry? And she's like, no, I'm good. And she steps away and right behind her is this skeleton that's sitting there. And it's shit like that that's funny, man. It's just very, very subtle comedy. I feel like subtle, very well written comedy works so much better than this over the top, just like, gag them out and shit like that. There's so many parts in this film that they do that. There's a really great gag in the film where our over the top, like, kind of team building leader dork, he ends up losing a leg in a scene with a bear trap. And so later on, they're transporting him and they have this like horrific bus crash, which is a totally fucking awesome effect that they did in the film. It's really, really good. But I don't know if anyone ever caught this, but what he says after they crash the bus. So you got to remember, he literally loses a fucking leg to this bear trap. And he's like, oh, and people are like, are you okay? Are you okay? And he's like, bro, I think I broke my arm. I literally lose my shit. I'm like, dude, you got no fucking leg and you're talking about breaking your arm. It's so fucking funny. And he's not even on screen when he says it. It comes out of the background. So that's the type of comedy we're getting here. It's very, very cleverly done. Oh, fuck,
dude. The fucking pie thing cracked me up.
Yeah, the pie thing is a funny thing too, because I was listening to the commentary and I kept thinking to myself while watching the movie, I'm like, why in the fuck did they have a pie with a tooth in it? And they actually answered it in the commentary. And he goes, yeah, we just threw that in there. There's no explanation for it. It doesn't even matter. Because it would
But it's
suggest,
just funny because he's like, I found it.
yeah,
They're like,
had
what the fuck? You
foil on
found
it.
a pie?
yeah.
You gave us a pie that you found in some weird place?
He's like, there was no reason to actually have a tooth in the pie and stuff like that. He's
Why
like,
fucking not?
we just did that anyways. It's like whatever, because like for the viewer, it would suggest that the people that were living in this house or residing in there would be cannibals, right? Because if it had a human tooth in it, it would be like cannibalism. But they never go that way with it and stuff like that. So
Yeah, who says they're not? You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, but they also explain away too, because he's been asked many times over the years. He's like, well, why didn't you guys ever give an explanation as to why these specific people are trying to kill you off one by one? And he's like, because that's the lamest thing in slasher films, that you give this big exposition, you give this big fucking detailed explanation about why the shit's happening. And he's like, it's up to you to figure out the commentary, and it's obvious they don't actually even go into like what the commentary is, but the obvious commentary in the film is that these people work for a weapons company. They sell weapons to people around the world, and the commentary is you got to be careful because a lot of these companies don't give a fuck about who they're selling weapons to. The bottom line is the money, right? And this is what happens sometimes when you sell weapons to the wrong people. You sell weapons to terrorists and you sell weapons to the wrong people, and it might come back around to haunt you and essentially fucking bite you in the ass, shoot you in the ass, like literally.
Sometimes you get addicted to cocaine.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's very subtle in the thing, but I mean, you can obviously figure out what they're trying to say in the film and stuff like that too. But I mean, like I said, what really makes this movie work is how clever the writing is. I always say that I'm not a big fan of showing clips in the beginning of the film that play into the end of the film. This one does it absolutely perfect because they set it up not only in the beginning of the film, but they also set it up in the bus ride. Once our employees get to Hungary, they're taking a bus ride, and they obviously can't get there because there's a tree, and then they're having to book it off and stuff. But there's a great scene with Danny Dyer's character where he's on his laptop and he's like ordering hookers. He's literally ordering hookers. And like, if you would even forget about the opening scene, which just happened like 3 minutes ago, that he's the one that ordered these hookers. And it plays into the end of the film because obviously they end up at the wrong place that Palisade had bought. It was not the place, right? And then it plays out. Pretty fucking cool, man. I think this movie is just beyond clever. It really does work for what it is. I mean, it's a comedy slasher film that is kind of, I wouldn't say mean-spirited, but the thing I like about this movie, it has a great balance of really subtle, great comedy with being a dark slasher at the same time. The kills aren't pussy. Like there's blood, there's meanness to the kills and stuff like that. And there's a lot of crazy scenes, like, that they even play into like, the bear traps, and like, I like the landmines. The landmine scene fucking kills me, man. Every time I watch that scene, it's so great because it's like, dude, you sold them this shit, man. But really, really good stuff. Really good stuff. There's just so many good jokes I want to talk about. I mean, if you haven't seen Severance, you got to check it out, man. It's really good for what it is. It's honestly one of the better like comedy slasher films. I mean, would you even say it's comedy before slasher, or like comedy or slasher comedy?
I would almost say slasher before comedy, because like you said, like it's a funny movie, but the comedy is so like subdued, and you really have to pay attention to like get to it.
Yeah, like I said, it's very subtle, it's very subdued. And like I said, the writing is so good. And you can tell that they really tinkered around with the writing, and they didn't want to make that like punchline film, that, that fucking physical comedy movie where it just gets stupid and silly. Because they wrote really good characters. If they made the characters do stupid, silly things and out of character, wouldn't make any fucking sense. You took all this time to create these awesome characters where it just works. And that's why when it starts playing out the way it does, it works so damn well. I think one of my least favorite things of this film I've always ever said about this was the actual ending. And And it's not to say that it's like a bad ending, because I'm not, you might just look at the ending and be like, oh, it's fine. It is what it is. I shit you not, one of the special features on this film actually has an animated storyboard of what the original ending was supposed to be, with that they did not go with. I laughed for 10 minutes. I was like, how in the fuck did they not use that original fucking ending, man? Dude. I almost have to say it, but I'll put this in a, okay. So essentially our survivors end up going over a waterfall. I was laughing because it made fucking sense, right? It plays in an old naive thing. Like, I mean, everyone's already getting killed off based on, oh no, we're all good out here, we're all good in here. But the way I kept thinking to myself, the way the camera pans out when they're on the water, right? And then all of a sudden they just go down this waterfall. I'm like, oh my god, dude, it's the best. How do they not do that?
They could have at least shown a waterfall and then just let you like put the pieces together.
Like the storyboard was so funny, dude. It literally has it piece by piece and then go. Oh my god, I was dying, dude. I was pissing myself. I was like, that's so funny.
I'm with you though. I feel like the ending is just slightly anticlimactic.
It is, and it's actually kind of surprising who two of the characters are that live. To be honest,
the heroes.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird, but yeah. Anyways, I think that it would have just played into the way the comedy was if they had just went over the waterfall. It would have been so good. But yeah, dude, this one it's funny, man. Like, I mean, I think the goofiest gag in it, but still plays into the whole element of, creating weapons and stuff, is when towards the end of the film, when the dude is like, well, perfect chance to try out my rocket launcher. And he disintegrates a fucking plane. Dude, you gotta admit though, that shit is funny as hell, because it's just, oh my god, dude, that shit went.
That was probably the funniest gag.
Yeah.
Like the gaggiest gag in the movie for sure.
They talk about how funny, there's a conversation about how they're in Hungary, and Buddy's like, yeah, no, that sounds like a bear over there. And Buddy's like, oh, there's no fucking bears in Hungary. He's like, that's ridiculous. No bears in Hungary. And there's like this really subtle comedic scene where they're walking up this, to trying to find the place that they're rented out. And the camera pans back and this bear walks across the back of them. And they said that was such a costly element just for this weird gag that they didn't even need to do, right? But if you're going to set it up,
do it.
But they had to do it because they set it up. But he said it was actually quite expensive because they had to have the bear trainer, and it was crazy. But it's shit like that people don't think about when they're watching movies. But I really like jokes like that. I think that's so funny when you hear a setup and then it happens like down the road. You're like,
I love shit like that too.
It's so good, man. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. But this movie's all full of that shit, though. It happens throughout the whole thing. Like, I think again, the subtle thing about Danny Dyer's character when he's getting the hookers and stuff, and it just like plays out. And I love that scene too, where he's like sitting there and they're like, because like we see them, they're like throwing their shit up there trying to get out of the bear and then at the end of the movie we see a different angle of it, and he's like sitting there. Oh man. But his character is fucking classic, man. Like, who goes to Hungary and then buys a bag of mushrooms off a dude on the side of the road and starts eating them like chips?
I know.
It's so fucking crazy, man. Like, that's actually crazy to me. But yeah, man, I like movies like this with the subtle comedy, the editing techniques that play into it, situational comedy. It really does work for what it is. I kind of think that I hope this one's going to get another resurgence, because like I feel like when it came out, people liked this movie, and I feel like
I agree. It had really good
I
buzz
saw
back
this
in
a
06.
long time ago, like just like we talked about on Sunday, like a movie, like it's in that same camp of like movies I saw when I first started like kind of getting into horror because of the time it came out. And I haven't watched it since then, but like I remember the bear trap scene vividly. I remember it was like an occupational, like situational comedy type movie.
Speaking of which, this is another one that I think I own sealed on a shelf.
I never watched check it out for this.
I've seen it on like Netflix before I bought it.
Yeah, I haven't watched the movie in 2 days. I've had a hectic 2 days, but I meant to watch it like yesterday or today, and I didn't have time. I didn't have a chance to.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, like the kills are pretty decent. There's like I said, the one dude that loses his leg and gets his arm broken and stuff, like he gets like they just kept playing off the joke on with him, man, because he was just so overhyped to be there and stuff. And of course, he dies the most miserable, grisly death and stuff. Like there's a scene where he ends up getting captured and they end up carving the Palisade logo into his chest and stuff. He just gets brutalized through the whole thing. It's kind of funny, but the actual actor is a huge horror fan, and he was loving every minute of being just desecrated through the whole film. He's like, this is fucking awesome. Like in the special features, he just shows that he just loved every minute of it, man. It was great. And I really like that about it. And again, you know, like the acting in the film, man, I thought the casting was really good because for the most part, they didn't actually cast like comedic actors. And that was actually on purpose. They didn't want, because as a viewer, when you're watching a film that has comedic actors, you're expecting the film to be a certain way because of who those character actors are and those comedians are. And if you're watching a film that necessarily doesn't have those type of personnel within, you know, as characters, then I think it plays out a little better. And I think it works so well that the way they casted this film and the way they wrote these characters, they said Danny Dyer is just fucking hilarious all the time though. Like the guy, he said he was cracking up Christopher Smith throughout the whole film, like offset, like just constantly being funny as hell. And he was like, how the fuck do you playing comedies, man? You're so funny. But that was part of the thing that really worked for the film was actually the casting. And I agree with that. I really, really agree with that. And I wholeheartedly, totally disagree with people when they say you don't need to invest in characters and stuff like that. That was their whole point in this. And they made the film that I always talk about, you know, like when you watch slasher films and, you know, sometimes you get bored with the shit and you're just like, fuck, just get to the killing and shit like that. Cause the characters are so shitty and unlikable and just not fun and stuff like that. That's not the case with this movie. They managed to have, like I said, a gory ass opening scene, 50 minutes with basically no horror, and then get into it and you totally forget what you're watching. It's like two movies in one. It's amazing. It's fucking awesome. I really, really highly recommend this movie, man. I think it's really good. As for the features in the movie or on the disc, I gotta say, man, there is a lot, nothing overly that crazy. So there's one called The Making of Severance. It's 35 minutes long. It's really just like, you know, scene shot behind, you know, them filming and stuff like that. It's like a lot of clips. Say
it's behind the scenes.
It's behind the scenes, but like they have like a little bit of
behind the scenes.
Yeah, they have a little bit of interviews and stuff like that. It just feels like it's just a lot of shit that they kind of shot, and so it's not really a making of. They don't per se go into the actual making. It's a little bit of interviews with them and stuff, and they're kind of talking about their characters and things like that. It's not per se like a making. It's just behind the scenes, really, is what it is. 35 minutes. It's you know, it's okay. It's fine for what it is. The Genius of Severance is another one. It's 5 minutes. Apparently the original script was called P45. It was a totally different type of script that they kind of tweaked. It was written and they decided to tweak the whole thing. It was like originally like a slasher film. And basically the idea was if you survived the weekend, you kind of kept your job. I actually laughed at that when they said that. I was like, that's fucking stupid, but whatever. It makes me laugh anyways. But yeah, so they tweaked that shit and totally went with a different route on that, but it still kept the slasher angle. I don't know if they even said it was supposed to be a comedy or not, but maybe just a straight up slasher film. I'm not sure. Yeah, so they talk about like how, you know, they talk about how they casted the characters and things like that and things I was talking about. And they talk about like, you know, the concept of the movie and, you know, how the commentary, like they talk a little bit of, you know, how, you know, the individuals, the responsibility of the individuals within the company and stuff like that, and how it kind of plays out in the real world and stuff. People kind of lose focus of like what they're actually doing in reality. And they're just like, it's the bottom line's money kind of thing. And I totally agree with that too, because, you know, you don't really think about the consequences sometimes when you're selling fucking weapons to like Eastern Europeans. No offense or anything. I'm just saying, you know, sometimes this could be fucking, you know, detrimental to your health. And in this case, they're kind of showcasing exactly what could happen when you sell weapons and you go into invade their space, and yeah, you become a target. So it was actually pretty interesting. I thought it was pretty good. It was 5 minutes, really short though. And then there was behind the scenes, which is more of just what they had shown in the kind of the behind the or whatever it was called, the Making of Severance. It was kind of the same thing, just more of the same. Really, it was like 12 minutes long. And then there was one called Being Danny Dyer, which kind of goes into his character and stuff. And there's this really great scene in the film where they're kind of giving the folklore of like, you know, this area and stuff like that. And his little spiel on it was, you know, this house was actually, or this area was, it was a sex slave place and shit like that, because it kind of plays into his whole character. That his explanation is fucking funny as hell. So they're talking about that and shit. It really goes into depth about that. It's really funny, but it's funny because they show behind the scenes of the scene where he's taking a piss while he's all fucking high on mushrooms. And in the behind the scenes, he literally has a full on sock on his dick, like the fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers album cover, like full on. He's just standing there, and you can see his muff, like full on bush, and he's got this huge fucking like thing on his dick. And I'm just like, dude, this is funny as hell. And I'm like, of course I'm looking, and I'm like, dude, it's got a boner. Like, it's ridiculous. It's so fucking funny, dude.
It's really funny, like out of context too. Now when you know that, and then the movie, he like looks at the black dude and he's like, if you stare at my dick one more time, I'm gonna fucking fight you. And he's like, I haven't looked at your dick fucking once. Knowing that he's standing there with a raging hard on and a sock on his cock is hilarious.
Dude, it totally does, man. It looks like it's funny as hell, dude. I couldn't believe how much they kept showing. I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, dude. Anyways, then they have like a Danny Dyer fight rehearsal scene. It was like a couple minutes long. Alternate ending storyboards, which is like 46 seconds, which I talked about the waterfalls, which was fucking hilarious, dude. I actually laughed out loud at that. Pretty good. Then they got a bunch of deleted scenes in the film, which I feel like all the deleted scenes, it was 9 minutes. It was really only about 4 or 5 scenes, more extended and stuff like that. I feel like those cuts were good. They didn't really need to be there for sure. Then they got the Palisade, the court video, which they kind of showcase in the film and stuff like that. Then they have another feature called Lodge Incident, which is 6 minutes. They have these interviews with the hookers, and they're talking about their experience at the lodge, and it's like playing out like it was a real thing. It's fucking awesome, dude. It's like they shot this. It's not even in the movie. They shot this after the fact, I swear, just for a feature. But it's literally an interviewer talking or asking them questions about like what happened. And then they go through
in character.
In character. And they're talking about like, and they're sisters. They're fucking sister hookers. Oh and they're talking about the whole lodge thing, and it's hilarious. I thought it was actually pretty cool. It was like the best feature. It was like 6 minutes, and because they're totally in character, and it's just like, why did they shoot this? You don't really see that on features very often, where you take characters and you kind of expand on what happened. It was pretty funny. There's a couple outtakes. Outtakes. It was like 2 minutes long. Not so special effects, which is 5 minutes, which I thought was really funny because so they didn't bring along their own special effects artists. They actually hired on some Hungarian ones. And Christopher says he's like, yeah, so in the UK, like in England, we have a thing called like health and safety, and it's we have to kind of follow it. When you're in Hungary, yeah, there's no fucking rules. So he goes into like how they were doing effects and shit, and I was like, oh my god, how the fuck did somebody not die here? They were literally using that. Okay, you know that knife. See where that one soldier dude gets the knife like up the asshole. Mm-hmm. It was like literally a real knife. They had to put like a cork on the top. That was their effect. They just put a cork and then they just kind of put it up there, but it was like a real sharp blade. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, this is fucking crazy. So, but they actually go into crazy detail about the bus crash that they do, which I thought was really interesting. And originally so they bought this bus, they kind of souped it up, like, you know, on the outside, the inside was all shitty and stuff like that. But they literally bought this bus to write off because they knew they were going to do this effect. The original plan by the studio was to do like an in-house studio shot. And he's like, no, it's going to look like it's on green screen. I'm not fucking doing that. I'm not making my movie look like shit. So we're going to do a real stunt. So their idea was to have a pretty minor crash, build like a bar ramp, you know, up the logs and stuff, and have it go up and, you know, flip over. There was a little bit of a language barrier, maybe kilometers to miles, little differential. So they were telling this guy to drive a certain speed, and he ended up driving like 50 miles an hour instead of kilometers or whatever. So it was like way fucking quicker. So what you see on screen was,
why does everybody just use miles?
because it's fucking stupid. But anyways,
That's the speed that's the speed and speed for that bus is 50 miles per hour.
yeah. So anyways, so they do this fucking scene, they shoot the scene, and it was so much more extravagant than they ever thought. Like they're like, holy shit. They literally had to change all the special effects and all the wounds and stuff on the characters that were inside the bus because they were so minor before. They're like, holy shit. Like that was crazy. So when they had them coming out, they're all fucked up and stuff. So the guy that did the stunt was a Hungarian dude. And I laughed so hard at this. So he just jumps in the driver's seat. He buckles up. He put on a helmet that he bought for $2 the day before and did that stunt. So when you see it hit and it fucking just blows the fuck up, like not on fire, but like thing kind of, destroys itself. He's knocked unconscious in there. And he's like, yeah, it was great. It was awesome. So
it was a badass stunt.
Yeah. So they said the hardest part about the whole thing was just having to be like, oh shit, that crash was crazy. We can't have people coming out with like a little cut over here and stuff. They have to come out a little bit more fucked up and stuff. But he said, yeah, the regulations when you're doing effects in films in those type of countries, a little different. So, but he couldn't ask for anything more because really the crash was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome. They showed different angles and stuff. They really did fuck that thing up, and it turned out how he wanted because he didn't want to green screen the shit. It's kind of bullshit. So, and yeah, that leads into like there's a whole feature 9 minutes on crashing the bus where they go into the whole thing, like how they souped it up and how they made the outside look really good, where they did the palisade, made it all look all good and shit, but the inside was like totally shit. But and they go into the safety. So it's two of those. And then there's a little bit more footage. There was like 2 minutes of more crash footage, which whatever. And then they go into this archival electronic press kit. It's like an hour, 7 minutes, and it's basically just everything that you've seen. All the features that are just kind of chopped up. It's, electronic press kits. So it is what it is. There's an interview with the animal trainer who talks about, he doesn't really talk about the bear. He talks about the pheasant scene. So there's a scene where they're going through the house and one of the characters is totally scared by this pheasant that's like hanging in the room and stuff like that. Yeah. It was like a real pheasant and stuff. And they let it go after and everything. And so it was all sleeping and they knew if they touched it, it would just have that effect and shit. It's kind of cool. It's just, hands-on stuff. And then there's one called Frankish, which is the production manager, or he was the guy that did the production designer. And they talk about like, just production stuff. It is what it is. It's like 3 minutes. And there's this feature called Plane. It's like 2 minutes. It's basically Christopher Smith telling the story of them coming back from Hungary. So he tells the story that he's already like a very nervous flyer and stuff like that. And this happens in the plane. So they're coming back and they were loading the plane and then they loaded inside the plane a bunch of boxes and shit, which is kind of weird to do. Anyways, he was like I said, he's already a nervous flyer and he sees all this shit being loaded in there. And also one of the flight attendants says, so nobody go to the back of the plane because there's a weight and balance issue right now. And we don't want it to tip over. Now he's just like, fuck this. He gets off the fucking plane. He starts freaking out. He's like, I'm not flying on this fucking plane. His weight and balance issues, blah, blah, blah. So the pilot comes out and says to him, he's like, bro, he's like, you think I'm going to fly this plane if I don't feel like it's safe? And he's like, well, I don't know, man. But he talked him back onto it and he ended up flying back to England and stuff like that. But I just thought that was really funny because I worked in that industry for like 10 years. And like, when you hear that, you're like, damn, dude, I'm not a nervous flyer, but I'd be like, fuck. Why are they loading inside the plane? Like we have a thing called, de-icing here. And there's a reason why you do certain parts of the plane first, because if you have a big snowfall and you start spraying off that shit, the plane actually will tip over. Right. So you don't want to do the front and you got the weight on the back and stuff like that. Anyways, I thought that was really funny. It was kind of an interesting thing. And then I listened to the commentary from this year. There's 2 commentaries on here. There's an archival one, which most of these features actually are archival. Actually, everything is archival. Actually, I watched the one from 2025, which is with Christopher Smith, one of the co-writers, and Kim Newman, who does the hosting of it. You guys know who Kim Newman is, right? Yeah, he's the British critic or whatever. Yeah, there's some pretty good stuff in there. Like they pretty much just talk about the film and like, filmmaking of the genre and stuff like that. And it was it was entertaining. I mean, they didn't really talk about a whole lot that you didn't get from all the previous features and stuff like that, but there was some pretty interesting stuff. I like Kim Newman. He's okay. Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, lots of features. I would probably say a few hours if you watch the little press kit, which you're probably not going to watch the little press kit. Why would you watch the little press kit? It's the same shit. That's like a compilation of everything. But anyways, all in all, Severance, man, really good release from Magnet. I think it's definitely worth your time. Big fan of this movie. If you're expecting a full blown comedy, it's not that. You're expecting a straight on serious slasher. It's not that. It's both, but it does it really, really well as a mashup. Cinematography is really, really good in the film too. They did so much effort into really capturing the certain areas that they shot in. I thought the cinematography was actually really good. There's actually behind the scenes of like Christopher Smith actually doing it. And they're like, "You gonna shoot your next film?" He's like, "Fuck no." He's like, "This is horrible." Because you got to strap on these huge things. And he's like, "This is so uncomfortable." He's like, "I just want to be pointing out shit." And I get that. I completely understand where he was coming from. But really, really good stuff, man. Probably one of my favorite like horror comedies out there. Like, honestly, it's not one of these movies that's like going to make you fall off your seats laughing. It's just really well done. I think most of the jokes really do hit, and there's a lot of subtlety. So, like, I never caught on to the skeleton joke before. I thought that was really brilliant. This is like probably one of my favorite parts in the whole film, actually. Really good stuff. But yeah, great characters. Severance, 9 out of 10. Great film.
Wow.
It's a good release. I mean, I would suggest the features aren't really the greatest, to be honest. Like, I mean, you're getting a lot of stuff, but a lot of behind the scenes stuff, you're just like, it's them goofing around and just it's acting shit, right? You shoot a scene, you sit around for 2 hours, and it's them goofing off and being like, "Okay, whatever." But it's still interesting to see. Nevertheless, glad that we have it. I'm not
What year is it?
2006.
It's a good year.
Yeah. Yeah. So honestly, I just hope it comes back into people's forefront, because I felt like years ago when it came out, it did have a splash. And then all of a sudden it was like no one talks about it. And then a resurgence on Blu-ray with a good release. Go check it out, guys. Good film.
Yeah. And like I've said 100 times, like that sweet spot era of like 2000 to like 2011 is finally getting some love.
Yeah, the era that Parker fucking hates. I saw him post today. He's like, I don't need to buy, man. I don't buy shit post 2000. I'm like, really? It's May.
The 2000s.
I'm so grumpy and old.
But May is like, it's fucking 10 out of 10, bro.
Yeah, May is great.
I
don't know. I kind of get like he just is like has his like loves of the 70s, 80s, and earlier and shit.
This is literally what he wrote. He's like, I don't buy shit from post 2000 very often, but I'm fucking sure as hell buying Ghoulies 3.
Oh yeah,
that just sums it up in a nutshell, doesn't it?
I just like all eras of movies. Personally.
Yeah, me too. I don't look at it. I'm the same way. I used to be kind of an elitist when it came to like 60s, 70s, and 80s horror. And
like
90s.
Obviously I have a like much stronger like affliction for that era, but yeah. I also am getting very nostalgic for like the era I was talking about, like 2000 to 2011.
Well, we're at that point now. It's 2025. You got to remember, movies that came out in 2000 are 25 years old. When we were watching films in 2010, 25 years before that was 85.
Yeah.
Think about that. It's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it, man. I completely get it. But I've come full circle with my my so-called elitism, and I really don't care anymore. It's like if I love a film, I want to be watching it or even owning it, kind of thing. So I don't really care anymore. But anyways, that's Severance from 2006. Tyler, you're up.
All right. So this month we went with one from Distripix. I think that's how I'm saying it right. I didn't even know this was a sublabel, and I kind of had no idea what it was. until I clicked on it, and I guess it is kind of like a smutty sub label that's not quite Melazine. So having said that, we got Last Tango in Paris on 4K. And yeah, this is an NC-17 movie. I don't know if it would be like that today.
No
But
way.
yeah. I if it was like that today, it would be more about like extreme content than anything else.
Hmm.
Um, but like this didn't I expected this to be like a lot like smuttier than it was. But anyways, it's a film by Bernardo Bertolucci, um, one of the most celebrated Italian directors of all time. You might think this film is a French film, given it's called Last Tango in Paris and it's shot in Paris, but it is indeed an Italian film. So this is this is a film I was kind of conflicted on at first, but it's this is definitely going to be a film not for everyone. It's not. It's essentially a story of an older widowed American living in Paris, starting a completely anonymous sexual relationship with a woman much younger than him.
I think
And
I've seen this.
really,
I think so.
uh, yeah,
Let me look it up.
it's very, this movie's very much, it's not like there's a strong narrative or any like type of like suspense or thrills or any like kind of point like you feel it's building towards. It's very much a much more meditative film, and really the film itself is told like mostly through like its exterior cinematography and just like these quiet, like almost like mundane medial conversations that you hear between the two leads. The two leads in this are the younger one's played by Maria Schneider, and the character of Paul is played by Marlon Brando, legend himself. And I would say this is Marlon Brando's best performance ever in a movie. I guess that's not really too much of an unpopular opinion. Obviously, his most iconic performance is Don Corleone, the Godfather films, but like this is the last like movie you see where Brando like really tried in a movie and to like actually like tap into something and put it in a performance before he started just like not memorizing his lines and trying to collect paychecks over the next like 25 years.
It's so true though. It's like he gave his last like load to both this and Godfather at the same time. And he's like, that's it.
That's all I
He's
got
like,
left
all
in
right,
me.
that's all I got left. Yeah. Along with The Godfather, he was also nominated for Best Actor in this movie too, and was also nominated for Best Director from Bertolucci, which is he. I can't believe this dude was like 29 when he made this. This dude, that is absurd to me that like someone would even
Oh,
understand
that
like
is absurd. I had no
he's
idea.
like late. He was like late 20s or early 30s. I think he was 29. Like he was
Dude, somebody
insanely
fact
young.
check this. Watch him be 45.
Well,
No.
yeah, I
He
always thought
died.
that
He died a
because
couple years ago. This movie was made in 1972.
a lot of people acted like this movie is like semi-autobiographical from the director. So I always just assumed that he was a middle-aged dude when he made it.
Yeah, no, he's I believe he made yeah, so something, I think he was 31 because yeah, he made the Conformist came out when I remember looking this up. The Conformist came out in 1970, and then he made this movie like right after it, which is insane. But yeah, anyways. So yeah, it's really like just this meditative story told between the two, and it's got an inch the big theme about this film that I took away from it is it's about people like entering into this sexual relationship at much different maturities and much different points of their lives. You have this widowed man who's like he's in his early 50s. You find early in the movie that his wife killed herself, and a lot of the movies really him just spending this time just self-loathing, like being depressed, like sitting on the floor drinking wine and like eating cheese in some empty, crappy apartment. And then you have this younger, like much more naive girl that's like attracted to like this guy that just doesn't care and just like he's not even nice to her. Like I said, it's completely anonymous. Where this strikes up by Brando basically being the aggressor, and this sexual relationship just escalates and escalates, and they never even like learn each other's names. It's that level of anonymity, and you watch like as like the things escalate and escalate in this film. He treats her worse. He cares less and less, and like that's what like keeps her like coming back. And you just have like it, it it's a really like interesting view of this of this dynamic of this like power dynamic that he like has over this woman, that you also see like her time outside of him. Like she had like a boyfriend her age, and she's just like completely like throwing away anything like she had in like her life, because she's like so like intoxicated and like drawn in by this fascinating, like much older, like much more experienced, like emotionally intelligent guy that just like does not give a fuck about her. And it's between these like you like really see like the texture of like Brando's character emerge, and eventually culminates into like a point in the movie that like it kind of like you kind of like stop at yourself and like watching this little scene he has that like really like ties the film together, and you're like this guy can fucking act. Like this guy, he's considered one of the greatest actors of all time for a reason when he actually gave a shit. He's phenomenal in this film. This film's shot like extremely well too. I don't know what it looked like before this. This was the first time watch, but there's like a nice, like really like golden, like yellow tint on this 4K, and this movie looks like it looks fantastic. It's definitely one of the definitely aided by how good it looks. Uh, but it's essentially kind of plotless in a way where you're just like kind of saturating in this atmosphere with these people or these two characters for really like for most of the runtime, and you're just quietly like just starting to like understand more about these characters. And I was really kind of conflicted like with this movie at first, and I liked it a little bit more as it kept going on, and then like it would do stuff that I don't think I really understand or seems like out of character to me, that that like brought it would bring it back down for me. And it has this ending that like really like jarred me at first. Like I almost felt it was like really unfitting to the characters. Uh, but I started to like really think about like, okay, so this is an Italian movie that came out in the early 70s. Like what was this sort of this what where did this type of scene come from? Like what is he influencing? And then when I started to think about it, it really sounds like this scene at the end of the movie that kind of threw me off only almost like feels like something that would have came out of like a Fellini movie. Like it feels like something that would have been ripped out of 8 and a Half that came out like 6 years before that. And I took it as like there's like a touch of like that like early Italian neo surrealism at the end that kind of and it just made me ask myself like why would the director put this in the movie that just feels so tonally different from the rest of the movie, unbefits these characters? Like what are they trying to communicate? And I think it took me a couple days, maybe some time to work that out, but once I did, I kind of understood what the film was attempting to communicate, and I really did feel like that made me like it more. Uh, I definitely it's not an exciting movie by any means. It's a movie it's very much about like saturating in its atmosphere and like just taking it all in and letting like yourself like breathe afterwards. It trying to relate to it on like some sort of level. It's one of those things that people just have, are at different ages and have like different types of relationships with people where it's gonna affect people in different ways. It's gonna remind people of different things in their life, and they're gonna get different things. But I can see this movie being incredibly divisive. Especially there's some stuff in this movie I'll get into that I learned about the film that's also very divisive about the movie. Uh but I overall, I think I really enjoyed this movie, and I thought about it a lot longer after, and like the more I collected my thoughts about this movie, I liked it I liked it even more. This movie is extremely controversial. Just like I said before, it's an NC-17 movie. But it's very controversial. Was very controversial at the time. It was pulled from theaters within a week, and it was like just described as like self serving pornography. It was seized by Italian police. There was a lot of censorship with this film. It was pulled from some theaters in America where like people had to fight through mobs of people just like calling them perverts and shit to go see the movie. Uh, and there's also some particular scenes in here that a lot of people to this day will have an issue with, or some people like the movie not be able to defend the scenes. I'm not gonna talk about what it is and get us demonetized on this video, but it's we'll just say it involves butter. And if you've seen the movie,
I like
you know what
butter.
I'm talking about. And that's it's one of those scenes that like will be very upsetting to people, but it's a very important part of the film when you work everything out, like what like this movie is like trying to demonstrate. Even to this day, this is a very controversial film. It was supposed to play. I read about an event in last year. It was supposed to play at some. I believe it was a French theater. They were going to screen this film, and then there was a huge protest, like from like rights groups, to the point where they pulled it because the theater was getting threats and mobs. And like, dude, we're a fortress. We're not equipped to deal with angry people like trying to like break into the theater and like cause harm to people because they want to see this movie. We're just not doing it. So like to this day, like this film was controversial enough that people will try to stop people from seeing it. Yeah, and be very vocal about it. It's obviously going to be divisive for that reason. I can see how you can take this film as like a misogynistic depiction of women.
So, in your humble
Um,
opinion, is it actually as disturbing as the media and other
I don't
circles?
think it's even like a disturbing movie. I understand like why people had issues with it, but I'm also like the very like more like morally like ambiguous like I don't care what the movie like I don't
Is it
think because
graphic?
some you could say it's graphic, but there's
Not
certain
really.
things there's scenes in the movie that it's where they're really trying to demonstrate like that like power dynamic, and it's just like the acting is just so slow paced and like authentic, and as that the film feels very raw and very real. It feels very human. So there's one scene in particular movie that like it feels a lot worse than it might in at it if the film had been presented a different way. It's just like it's a very it could be something that'd be very hard to watch for someone. It's like Irreversible Junior.
You know
Yeah, but
what? You saying that makes a lot of sense. Like, there's probably a ton of scenes that you can think about that, especially if you're a woman.
In that scene in particular, there's a big thing that actually fucked up the actress for years. It was not in the script. Like it was in the script that was going to happen, but the butter was not in the script, and that like was a huge thing. And like they
I gotta
basically
have
found
the
out.
butter in this scene. I gotta have
He
the
thought
butter.
he like
it,
literally
it
on set. I guess he was just like, it's just a movie.
it seems like we're reviewing films that have scenes in them that fuck up actors for years to come.
Yeah,
Like we just did
she
that with
talked about
the
it.
possession of Joel Delaney. Same thing.
Yeah, she died in like her early 50s, I believe, in 2011. She talked about it for years. That like
Crazy.
it was fucked her up. And the director in his
There's
old age, he died, I believe, in 2018. He died a couple years ago. But he had said that he has a lot of sympathy for her and feels sorry about that scene, but he doesn't regret it.
Look at the
So
art.
oh, I guess Brando, I guess was the
So
next
he was
one on
like, "Get
set.
over it." He was like,
Yeah,
"Get over it."
Brando
It was
basically, I guess, like yeah, I guess Brando was kind of on his side, and he kind of like coaxed her into it. Then like after it was done, he's like, "All right, lunch," and he just like he was off of it.
I
He
got
got
the
what he
butter.
wanted. Yeah, I guess that was Brando's idea.
Yeah.
a
But
movie that came out based off of all that stuff.
yeah, so there's a lot of history and controversy with this movie. It's definitely a movie that some people are absolutely just not going to like because of the pacing and I mean, maybe just the themes in general. Like it's gonna but it's a very interesting film, and I would say anyone that's interested in film at all, or well, like it's a must watch. I think in that sort. I think it's a very important film of its era, and it says a lot that's interesting. It made me think of another movie I really like called Betty Blue I watched a few years ago, which is it's not like this movie at all. It's a much more like poppy, like French film, but it has like the same constant with two characters in almost like this just like it's not anonymous, but like this type of like quick fire relationship where there's an age gap and there's like a maturity level distance and it has consequences for both people involved. And I think just because I'm much more closer to that age and I can relate to that more, that's something that that stuck with me more. But if I was 50 years old dealing with my wife's suicide and closer to the end of my life and completely nihilistic about my future, I might relate to this more. So I think it's really interesting and a must watch for these. There's a lot of special features on this, but I gotta say they're not really the greatest. It's not necessarily their fault. It's a 50-year-old movie. It's a foreign film, so it's gonna have its disadvantages. And one thing that I think is a big thing with special features, I know JP's talks about this, is almost the best way to watch your special features is if you just throw it on in the background and you're doing something in the room or like you're cleaning it and like so you can like it's almost like watching the radio, like when you get like the archival, when you get the interviews and you learn about the film while you're doing something. And the problem with this one is everything is subtitled because all the special features have one archival interview from 1992 is in Italian. And like I said, it's a 50-year-old movie. So the people that are alive to talk about this movie that knew Bertolucci or worked with him are very old. And there's one guy that did a double special feature and another guy that did another. And both conversations were kind of you ever just talk to an older person and they kind of have that like quietish, like slower, like monotone voice and like
You keep falling asleep.
yeah, it's just like there's not a lot of like emotion in their inflections or anything like that, and it just kind of becomes like monotonous and like tiring. That's kind of the guys are old and Italian. It's not their fault, but that's kind of how the interviews are and they're subtitled. So it's not really the greatest from that standpoint. There is a cool little feature where they're showing before and afters of the photo of the locations how they are today. That reminded me of those old hologram special features. I used to love getting those on the Screen Factory, but unfortunately, this was more of just like a featurette like that, so you don't get a host and learn anything about it. But you can get some before and after photos. I would like to say they're cooler than they are, but they're weren't like that impressive because it's just shots of like downtown Paris. Uh, and there's an archival interview which was supposed to be part of some experimental documentary, but it's from 1992. The documentary never happened, so it fell through. And it's literally some guy just like one taking it on like a fucking like handy cam like you would have bought at I don't know Circuit City in 1992. And so the audio is bad. Like there's no like good lighting or anything. It's kind of a mess. So you do get a lot of special features, but I can't say they were really the greatest. It was a little disappointing for as much as you had, but it does come with this little book that I did go ahead and peruse through, and this is actually one of the better book. I don't read these on every release, but this is one of the better ones that I had. It talks about the film almost like a candid, not really a candid. I don't know why I'm saying that. Just from like an opinionated type of lens from the writer of this, and it's just interesting to hear their like dissection, like what it meant to them. You learn a little bit about the film, but I thought this was good, so I would read this before I watch all the special features, honestly. But overall, the art on this release I think is really good. I thought it was a little plain before, but now that I've seen the movie, I get, you could probably do a little better than this, but I like the color now. I've seen like the hue of the movie. It's more befitting compared to how I first thought about it. Yeah, this is a movie. I think the more time you like spend away from it and think about it, the more you're gonna like it. I was really like unsure of how I even felt about it, and I slept on it. And a couple days ago, I was like, all right, I'm gonna probably come in and give this movie an 8. And as like I was kind of thinking about what I was gonna say a little earlier, I was like, I'm gonna bump this to an 8.5. But now that I've like thought about it more and kind of worked out some of the stuff that I thought about this movie, I'm actually gonna give this movie a 9 out of 10. So I would absolutely recommend this movie. I think it's a canon movie for anyone interested in like significant film or historical film. But yeah, check it out. Looks fantastic. That's Last Tango in Paris from Distribix.
Buried on Distripix.
I didn't even know what that was.
The exactly the notorious, like famous Last Tango in Paris is like on the 10th most popular sub label.
This would have been like a good BSL, I think.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's not because they kept talking about, well, we just don't know where to put it. Like, I'm like, it's sure,
Isn't
like
don't
it's
you have a label for that?
right. Like,
Yeah, it
I
sounds like it
was
should be on the
so
labs.
I was so confused because yeah, like there's a lot of like hard stuff to watch in there, but
Yeah,
it's
if you were watching this
not
movie to see something erotic,
they
you will be disappointed.
they've put out Thriller, A Cruel Picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't understand why they were so confused about where to put it.
I think they're confused on where to put a lot of films because some of the
Well, just
labels
call
get
it
a
a
little bit mixed
slasher.
up for me.
Yeah, like Drop Zone.
Yeah, that one makes no sense. That's a BSA. But anyways, 9 out of 10, crazy. Tony, you're up.
All right, so I'm going to be talking about one of the more notorious shit bombs of the Trauma catalog. Of course, we're talking about Igor and the Lunatics, who's pretty much made by people who didn't make anything else, and
Good
honestly,
start.
for good reason. And it's going to be very hard for me to even like try to like to even say like the whole plot of this movie because the editing in this movie is just a complete fucking mess.
Thank you.
So the film opens with these hillbilly dudes chasing this girl down, and you don't really know why they're doing this. It's pretty much just opening straight up into the action. And they catch her, and they rip her clothes off, and then they put her on like a lumber saw, like the little slab that you like push into the giant circular blade. And they cut her in half, but it looks horrible. It's like a mannequin. It's almost like as bad as like Jess Franco's Bloody Moon. Like when that girl gets her mannequin head sawed off and it's like the fakest mannequin you've ever seen in your life. So then after that, it pretty much opens with this guy with a fake mustache looking at himself in the mirror. And you find out that this guy's name is Tom and he used to belong to this wooded like cult that's led by this guy named Paul, which is pretty much like the worst name you could ever give to like a main bad guy. So Paul, the crazy cult leader.
You're
Watch
trying to
out for
do like a
Paul.
Charles Manson fucking type story and you name your main character Paul. He sounds
Exactly.
likable. Too likable right now, man.
But yeah, this guy, he's got like it's really funny though. Like this movie's cleaned up. I didn't even realize because I've seen this movie before, but that's like one of the fakest looking mustaches I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And he walks around the rest of this movie with that damn thing on, and it's so distracting. But he leaves a diary next to maybe his girlfriend as she's sleeping on the bed. You really don't know what she is. And she wakes up, opens his diary, and it's basically him basically just like talking about the entire plot of the movie, and we're just going to be strung along with his voiceovers in the background. And this guy's got a voice that sounds kind of like a dime store Michael Biehn from Terminator. And as I was thinking about it, this movie kind of reminded me of Terminator a little bit in like certain aspects. And he's got a goofy little mustache, goofy little bowl cut. Kind of reminded me of that guy from that mom and pop documentary that looks like Dan the cameraman. So I just kept thinking about
I
that
have to
throughout the
see that.
entire
Oh my
movie.
God.
It's really funny.
The best part about the whole thing, actually.
So basically, she's reading this diary in his voiceover, and he gives us a backstory on just basically what this cult is. And it just started off like any normal cult. They all fuck each other. It's all about love and happiness and shit. But then eventually, like any good cult, the leader starts wanting more power, and he starts basically like putting a stranglehold on this cult. And this Tom guy ended up leaving. And I'd say this was like the late 60s, so it's about like 15 years before present day. And so what happens was he leaves, and I forget, like one of the girls is killed. Basically, they show the opening scene again with the girl getting sawed in half. They show it twice in full in the first 20 minutes, which is the most insane fucking thing in the world. It's like a 5 minute scene at the most, and you see it twice in 20 minutes. So this lady dies, and basically the town comes down and takes out this cult and imprisons Paul for the next 15 years, and everything's just happy after that. So then he's like, this is still all in his diary. Like he's just writing this long ass note to this girl. So then you fast forward 15 years, and Paul gets out of prison. He's dressed in this like really distinguished suit and shit.
Yeah, who the fuck gets out of jail dressed like that, by the way? You usually come out how you came in.
It's so funny too, because the guy's like, why does he look like that? And then Igor's just like, what? He looks perfect. He looks exactly like he's supposed to look. Like, he's only going to get out of prison if he looks like a distinguished person. Is that how that fucking works?
Yep.
But what happens is, literally the second he walks out of prison, he's plotting his revenge on the town that put him in prison. So that's pretty much the whole like crux of the entire movie is Paul and his two little goons, or just one goon even, Igor, because his third goon like changes 3 different times in the movie, probably based on like when they had to do reshoots. So it's really just those two guys versus Tom, his girlfriend, who I'll get to in a second, and his son, who I'll also get to in a second. So his girlfriend, whose name is Marianne, is like one of the more confusing characters in the movie because she's like a local who doesn't know anything about the cult or anything. And she's like learning about the history, and she's being very.
Uh-oh.
Did he just fucking freeze up?
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
And then we got JP's doing the review right now, but he's on mute. You know. Oh wow, we haven't had.
Oh, he's back.
We good?
Yeah, we're
Now
good.
you're good. Yeah.
I just realized I was just talking to literally nothing.
Yeah, you froze. I've never seen like someone freeze and just like unfreeze.
You said and the girlfriend, yeah, and that was the last thing we heard.
Okay, so the girlfriend. So her name's Marianne. And so there's really not much backstory on her. She's like really curious about like the town and its history and whatnot. And she goes to the woods and she sees a little boy in a window that scares her, and she runs away. And that's pretty much the end of that. And then pretty much what, the next day, this boy actually breaks into her house. Which, first thing, like that's kind of fucked up, right? So after that, she chases him and he falls down the stairs or whatever and twists his ankle. And what do you do to a burglar when you find out that they twist their ankle? You go to the woods and you find their dad to bring him back to this kid to take him to the hospital. Who the fuck does that to a fucking burglar? She's like the nicest person in the world.
Yeah.
So eventually you find out that this kid actually is the biological son of Tom, but he's being claimed by Paul, the cult leader. So that's basically the whole reason that Paul is out of prison. He's coming to get his kid, basically. And Tom is trying to stop it from happening. So that's kind of where I'm like trying to get this like Terminator little subplot like going, because that's just all it reminded me of. Especially with like the way he was talking like Kyle Reese. And it's all in narration and everything.
Dude, that movie was I think I'd seen that before.
Yeah, you
But-
watched it probably for 85.
Yeah, that's where I watched it. Yeah. Dude, that movie's wild. Just weird. I like that it's like everybody just looks like they're in a cult though. It's kind of funny.
No, I mean, like you opened up with like the correct thing, man. This movie is edited so fucking bad that it is actually hard to keep track of what the hell is going on. It's fucking weird. It just feels like it's sporadic as shit, man. You're like, what the fuck? I've seen this movie multiple times. Like I have the old DVD I watched for 85, I rewatch it here. I swear every time I watch it, it goes down for me.
Really?
Me too, honestly, because you just pick up on things that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Like
the whole thing doesn't make sense. It's fucked.
so basically, Tom and his girlfriend, I think, they meet in the middle of the movie, seemingly. And she's immediately involved in their business because she's got her own business and he's got his own business, and they basically converge. Why the fuck is he writing a diary piece to this girl who already knows everything that's fucking happening?
Okay. I wondered the same thing. What the fuck is up with that?
And not
Wait.
to mention, he's also like predicting the future. You know what I mean? Because he keeps like narrating the diary even beyond what they already know.
Yeah, so is the whole story told in like the past
So
tense or something?
is those scenes supposed to like take place after all these events? Like when he's doing the narration?
Well, if he's narrating as is coming, like you
Or
would
sorry,
think,
before all yeah, like when he's narrating, it's supposed to be after like all the shit happens.
Right.
but why would he be
But-
narrating it then?
Exactly. Why is he narrating it if she already knows everything that happened? Because like when she's reading the diary, pretty much the entire movie has already happened. Like people have died and the person got captured. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh no, I have to rewatch it.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't make a lick of sense.
It makes literally no sense. It's
Yeah.
basically like saying, "Hey, honey, I wrote a manifesto of the shit that we just went through. Why don't you like give it a rough draft read over and we'll talk about it?" You know
That's
what I mean?
exactly what it is. Yeah.
It's like, check out this cool diary entry I wrote a while ago, like pose in front of a mirror with a gun. Because it's like they don't even know he escaped. Like that's not even on the news yet. But the characters themselves are pretty cool. I didn't even like bring up Igor, who literally is the only reason you should be watching this movie. This guy is like one of the most animated fucking, I'm going to give it an 11 out of 10 performances in any trauma movie I've ever seen. If he wasn't in this movie, it would literally be like a 1 out of 10.
What?
And I'm not even kidding. Because like the effects aren't even that great. It's shot so horribly. Like every single effect shot is shot in a way to make it just look like the fakest effect I've ever seen in my life. Like if you have a really poorly like attached appliance to your neck, are you gonna take your camera and just fucking focus zoom in on that motherfucker where you just see every little imperfection? And we were talking about this earlier about how cinematography is not like the hardest thing or whatever in Tyler's Discord chat about that one
Dude,
little
oh my
ass-
god, I was actually
I
just
think that was
checking out
before
how-
the show, right?
Yeah, it was. I'm just checking out how that turned out, man.
Yeah,
That
it was
this
like
kid
literally
got-
before. I mean, I could
This
throw
kid
that
got
clip in there.
dragged. Oh my god, people came for this kid. It's so funny.
Right. Case in point is this movie. Like a lot of people don't realize like effects don't have to look as good as you think they do, but as long as you shoot them in the way that makes them look the most effective, like that means a lot and it takes a lot of skill to do stuff like that.
But
Like
anything,
even in a movie like The Burning, which you guys watch, and I don't even know what your review is, but like
Moodz shit
the
on it the
scene
entire review.
the scene in the Raft massacre, like when the guy gets the shears in his neck, that's like the worst possible angle to shoot that fucking thing.
Bro, that's so funny you say that because like I kind of talked about how like everybody always talks about like how great of a sequence that is, and it's a cool sequence, but like it is, and people say like Tom Savini's best work and shit. I'm like, no, bro, it's not.
No,
It
it's
is not
not.
his best.
no,
work.
dude, no.
Day of
it's
the Dead
not.
is his best work.
It
It's
could have
always-
been because whoever shot The Burning shot his effects like absolute fucking garbage. Like
Yeah.
we know how good Tom Savini can do.
Yeah, like look at George Romero shooting Tom Savini effects.
Right. He fucking gets it because he's a real filmmaker.
But the effects in Day of the Dead are also, I think, 1,000 times better than those ones in The Burning, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
they
that's
just
his
look
best
really
effects,
good.
Is the
period.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always said that. It's his fucking, what do they call that when your creme de la creme work that you
Magnum opus.
do? Yeah.
Oh yeah, magnum opus.
That's for sure his magnum opus.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
in terms of Igor and the Lunatics, this is their magnum opus too because it's their only opus.
Yeah. But you know, speaking of like, you know, effects and, you know, cinematography and stuff, I think this movie honestly suffers from the editing process of it, though. It feels messy all over the place. It just feels
Mhm.
like, it feels like with the whole voiceover and like the way the story is told, it doesn't have, everything seems like it's out of place. It doesn't have like it feels non-linear when I think it's supposed to be. And that's a problem, dude. When you when your movie
It's yeah,
gets
they tried
non-linear-
it. They tried to, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this movie always feels like it confuses me. And I'm like, I'm watching a fucking trauma film. I usually turn off my brain and just enjoy it. I'm like, why is this so fucking confusing?
It's because they're making it so hard to even understand it on just the most basic surface level.
that's
like-
a huge problem.
What
Like,
number did you guys
there's-
get?
There's people that die multiple times in this movie.
Unfortunately, I got 937.
Jesus.
533.
351.
Yeah,
Nice.
you guys, but you guys are subscribers, so that makes more sense.
Yeah, we don't get this in the
14.
subscription.
Oh, you don't? Oh, well, there you go.
14.
VSAs.
I generally always get relatively
But we
lower
do get our
numbers.
shipped first.
I think this is pretty low. I mean, if you're under four
Yeah.
or under 1,000 and 4,000, I mean, that's pretty fucking good.
Did you
Like, I
guys
give a
already
shit
get
about
yours
numbers,
shipped?
but-
I've been seeing people say that. like,
Mine
the last
shipped
few days.
yesterday.
That's nuts.
Yeah, mine shipped yesterday too.
Yeah, this is the fastest I think that I've had this May order ship.
Yeah, when you guys were saying that they were shipping, I was like, that's really quick. It's
Yeah,
definitely
they're on
quick.
their horse.
Well, they probably fucking, I mean, they're making
Probably
so much
hired
money.
like 10 more warehouse.
They probably
workers.
fucking hired a bunch of people. Yeah.
They're like, shit, almost completely sold. Well, didn't they sell like almost out of the slipcover of Dirty Work already?
It was
And
like
it was like
nine-
8,000 or something.
I thought they did
Yeah, they had
sell
to,
Someone said 8
they
or
had to up the
9,000.
number.
Fuck, man, that is wild, bro.
I know you
I
wouldn't
love
think Dirty
that.
Work would be the movie to break it, but I'm glad it did.
Like they are
Right.
definitely the company selling the most fucking units right now. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. They've
No
literally
one's
come
selling
so
9,000
far.
copies.
Like I remember back in the day, bro, like when they first started putting out like horror stuff like Christmas Evil and shit.
Yep.
Like I felt like we were the only people that even knew about them.
Yeah.
Like literally, like even people who like collected like didn't really know who Vinegar Syndrome was.
Yeah.
Like casually collected. You know,
Yeah, because
like,
they were putting out
Freak
those
Out
double
and stuff.
features and they were dabbling. There was a few porn releases and stuff. And
Yeah, when I first learned about
That was
it,
kinda
when I
interesting.
bought
I
my
was like-
first haul from them, like they were still like selling porn.
Yeah.
Like almost.
Well, they came out when people were still like clamoring from like
yeah.
legit catalog horrors. So that's why
Yeah.
like Scream Factory and Arrow were really fucking blowing up
What-
around like 20.
so Disrepix, are they still, is Vinegar Syndrome still putting out porn releases? Like on the other
Mescaline.
and the Mescaline?
Yeah.
So that's the other, okay. So
Yeah.
they created another
They
label
were
just
just
for
like
the porn,
like porn.
which makes
yeah.
sense.
They had to separate it for like certain like logistical reasons. Like it's kind of annoying though because like if I'm at work and I try to go to their website, it still comes up like
18 or older.
blocked. No, it comes up blocked for pornography, and I'm like, fuck,
Yeah, yeah.
no, that wasn't porn, guys. I swear.
Yeah. Well, it technically is, but
What? Vinegar Syndrome?
no. Oh, the Vinegar Syndrome site
Yeah,
or
no,
the
I go
mescaline
to
one?
vinegarsyndrome.com
Oh,
and
shit.
it blocks me and it says porn. I always forget, so I'll keep doing it.
Right. I never actually. I think I've been on the mescaline site once. I think maybe. But
I almost bought Hot Saucy Pizza Girls.
A couple, I bought at one point. I was like, I'm just gonna collect the 4Ks, and then I got like 3, and then like I just kind of decided like, yeah, these really just aren't for me.
You got what was the one the blowjob competition one?
That
Stiff
one- that
competition?
was-
Stiff competition.
Yeah.
That one,
Stiff
honestly,
competition.
honestly, the
That
first,
movie's
movie.
awesome.
What a
I
great
like that
title.
honestly, the
movie.
first 3 I've got, I thought were pretty good. And then I got
That's
Hey,
fucking
there's this
awesome.
new girl here and she's crazy. Like,
That's fucking
It's
awesome.
just funny,
that one was
bro.
the best one because it was funny. Like that was the one that made me realize like Ron Jeremy is just like naturally funny. Like there's a part on it where like he has like a threesome with some girl. He's like, wow, she's always like she does a great job with this. And then like the guy goes like, hey, come over around on this end, turn around. I want you to try this end out. And then like Ron Jeremy's like, wow, she takes the whole thing.
Yeah, he
There are
is
really
funny.
good jokes in that.
Uh,
Just
I'm
the
not,
way
like-
like he like talked, it's so funny.
Dude, Ron Jeremy, something.
And there is so many.
My favorite image of all time is that it's like a meme and it's like Edward Furlong and Ron Jeremy like sitting in a bar
Yeah.
looking like whack as fuck. And the caption's like, yo, bro, send me that pic we took last night. I bet we look dope as hell.
Yeah.
It's like
I saw
perfect.
the same pic, and
Yeah,
it was
I've
like
seen
me
that
and the homeboy watching the femboys walk into the bar. And it's the same pic of those.
That's awesome.
Oh man, that's the best.
Just like fucking cooked. I love that picture.
It's the best, dude.
It's like the way, like-
Edward Furlong got like a cigarette. Just
Yeah.
looks haggard as fuck.
They got it.
He
yeah,
looks
they got
just
him,
as
like-
old as Ron Jeremy in that
Yeah,
picture.
they got him in like the middle of saying something. So he looks goofy. He's got like a cigarette. He's like pointing at something. So he looks like your friend that just hammered and never shuts off.
Ron Jeremy looks
He's
like
cooked.
fucking Joe Spinell or
Yeah.
something. dude.
Like Joe
He's
Spinell
like-
and the Crypt
he's
Keeper had a
done.
fucking baby.
Oh,
I love
He's
how
gone.
Edward Furlong always shows up in like Wet Movie One's videos, man. Even like recently,
I forgot all about
Wait,
that.
what?
he's always in his fucking because that guy's always everywhere and shit. But he's always like interviewing himself, and I'm like, every time he interviews Edward Furlong, I'm like, bro, what the fuck happened? Like seriously, what happened?
He does a lot of those
He just-
movies where
oh,
like
man,
they hire some
He
old like,
blossomed and he peaked at a very, very, very young age.
He did some decent stuff later on. Like, I mean, I think his like peak after his like Terminator 2 peak was definitely
Detroit
American
Rock City, bro.
Detroit Rock City.
American History X.
Well, yeah, but
yeah, yeah.
Detroit Rock City's even later. That's like the last thing I think of him good.
Yeah, that was 99, like the year after.
Oh yeah, that
Was
that
Detroit,
like-
was American History X 98?
that's like
Yeah, I think
oh,
so.
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
Detroit
So they're
Rock
around-
City, I think, is 2000 something. isn't
No,
it?
it's
Hell no,
American
it's
History
99.
X-
No, it's in the 90s. I thought they were around the same time. But anyways, the point is, yeah, Detroit Rock City
Yeah,
fucking
it is
rules,
90s.
and that's a title that Vinegar Syndrome needs to drop. I'd
Dude,
buy
I
the-
would,
I'd buy the-
I would. That's featured review right there, baby.
Dude, I'll
it's
fucking
one of my
die when that
all-time
4K
favorite. It's
comes
one
out.
it's one of my all-time favorite movies, dude. Like
Me too, dude.
I love Detroit Rock City, but I'm actually a big Kiss fan. So it, like when that shit came out, was like, dude, it was amazing. Like I seriously have one of those like, Tony knows what I'm talking about, man. One of those like 4 foot, like 6 big Dynasty posters. I still have one in my closet. Like I
Dude,
literally
I'm
have.
such a- I'm
It's
such a-
huge. It's a fucking huge poster. It's crazy.
I love the joke about that album in the movie
Exactly.
too, about like
They'll never go disco. It's fucking
Kiss
amazing.
will never put out a disco song.
Yeah. That was the greatest thing because they said it in 78 and then of course that album came out in 79 and everything hit the fan. But
Yeah, dude.
We're not
it
even
was-
mentioning the greatest Edward Furlong role, the Crow Wicked Prayer.
oh, I thought you were gonna say Pecker. I like Pecker.
I like Pecker.
That was around the same time too as American History X
Yeah,
and all
he was
that.
he was
What,
hit.
97?
Yeah, he was hitting at that time, bro. Like I'm telling you, he was hitting. He
Mhm.
definitely was hitting, and then also it was like, I don't get it though because Edward Furlong was actually a pretty good actor. Like even
Oh,
in
he
those
was,
later roles,
dude,
like he was
great.
good.
He's
Like,
a
he was
good
really
actor,
good. Like
man.
he did some.
Dude, his shit in fucking American History X, bro. Like that shit is so good, man.
Dude, the end of that movie always fucking makes me. Oh, it kills me.
He does a lot of those movies
The
now.
middle of that movie fucking makes me cry.
Yo, I know it's brutal. Everything's that movie is so effective.
Dude,
You guys ever listen
Edward
to
Norton fucking is great in that movie.
you ever listen to Edward Furlong's album that he recorded in the 90s
No.
as a kid?
No.
No.
He does one of the most horrific covers of People Are Strange that you'll ever hear in your entire life.
Oh God, I'll
Wow,
listen
I've
to it
never
later.
heard this before. That's crazy.
I gotta listen to it later.
It is so fucking funny.
I didn't even know he
Oh,
was
my
like
God.
in a band. That's crazy.
It wasn't. It was probably just like some
It's-
dumbass
yeah, it's probably-
record company being like, let's make some money off this kid if we can.
Right.
Probably some dumb vanity project.
He's also in a fantastic movie from 1992 called Pet Cemetery 2.
Mm,
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah.
now he's in a lot of.
That's what
those
happened to Corey
movies
Feldman too.
that-
They're like, "Wow, Corey Feldman's kind of blacklisted now. Let's make some of him." And then he just took it to heart, and he's still rolling with the music shit, man. He's still trying to do the MJ
Yeah.
shit. Pretty funny.
He's in a lot
That's
of those movies
crazy.
now, where like
He is
they
still
hire-
rolling and doing shows, bro, like all the time.
I
It's
remember
crazy.
he told a story where he was like, Michael Jackson heard one of my songs and was like, "This is really good, Corey. I can make this a huge hit." And he's like, "No, I'm good."
I love
I
that
think
Corey
I've
Feldman
heard
is
that too.
he's been doing MJ longer than MJ at this
Dude,
point.
at this
Yeah,
point,
he has
yeah. Oh man. Anyway,
All right,
Igor
so
and the
Igor and the Lunatics. This movie is incredibly cheap in every aspect. Like, there's a scene where there's a dog like yelling in the background, but it's clearly a man just going. Like that shit just made me fucking laugh out loud. There's multiple scenes of reshoots where the characters have shorter hair and longer hair, so like the hair length is completely inconsistent. You got the fake mustaches. The flashback scene is just full of wigs that are like put together by headbands.
Yeah.
That's like literally everybody's thing because everybody had short hair in the flash or in the present day. The actual character of Paul himself was kind of cool. He kind of looked like Dave Parker without a mustache.
I can see that. That's funny.
So it's kind of like Dave versus Dan throughout this entire movie, fighting over the boy. But yeah, the music is horrible. It's just really crappy incidental synth that just doesn't really add anything to it. About the only real positive thing I can say is that the locations that they shot this movie in were really nice. They gave it like a nice like autumnal atmosphere. Like I really appreciated that, and that's probably about the nicest thing I can say about it. The one thing that interested me the most about this release is that as a special feature, they released a 92-minute version of this movie called The Bloodshed Cut, which me and probably a lot of people like reading that thinks, oh wow, that's just going to be an uncut version with a lot more blood. And you would be absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Because the gore and the blood in both cuts are pretty much exactly the same. But the only difference, well, there's very minimal differences. Like the editing is a lot less chaotic in this bloodshed cut. Like the opening death scene is only it's not repeated at all. It's finally just where it's supposed to be. But the problem is the shit that's added to it adds almost literally nothing to the overall experience.
I couldn't remember,
Yeah.
dude, because I watched the bloodshed because I've seen the other versions a couple times, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck's different.
It's like incidental, like characters talking that really has nothing to do with the plot line. It's basically being like, what'd you have to drink today? Like stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
And then there's also like video inserts that they have in this cut that's not in the regular cut. and it's some of the worst looking VHS like copy footage I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's like 120p. It's that fucking bad to where you like barely even see anything. But to me, the movie sucks regardless. And why would you ever want to add another 15 minutes to it? So for me, I wouldn't even like sniff the bloodshed cut ever again. I'll
Yeah.
just watch the 79-minute version. And the only other special feature on this disc is like a 30-minute making of documentary featuring four random cast or random crew members of this movie. And this featurette doesn't make a lot of sense because the only main
It was edited just
consistent
like the movie.
right. They have the cinematographer who basically is acting like a scorned old man the whole time because he's like, the original movie was called Like Father and it was supposed to be serious and they butchered it and ruined it and all this other type of shit. And then the three other people that they're interviewing all ended up like moving on and doing like spookies and like different little aspects. But these guys came in later to do like extra shoots and stuff from like Trauma and whatnot. And they started like claiming other shots. Like one guy is labeled as a co-director of the movie, but he's not like credited at all. The only credit he has in the movie is like stunt scenes and fire scenes. But he's like talking about how he was like taking the film as ransom because people weren't trying to like credit him for anything and he got that measly little credit for it. And that was probably about the most interesting story in that entire documentary.
Damn.
They didn't really add much to it, just like people talking about how much they had fun on the set. One of the guys was talking about how he would just do like little incidental like acting roles and stuff like that. It was okay. It didn't make much sense because these people weren't like really part of the entire production. They just came in midway through, added just a little bit of scenes to it, and that was pretty much it. But yeah, that's the only like bonus feature on this. There's no trailer, no commentaries, nothing else besides that. And a poster, of course. And the
Yeah,
poster does
I
not
always
have
forget
the
that
original
they
art.
I always forget that they put the posters in those VSAs. Like it's
You know
crazy.
what I've noticed about these? These are a lot easier to come out. Like they literally fall out now. They have really made these things not as tight as they used to be. That's what she
I don't
said.
know. Mine doesn't do that.
You can tell the case has changed because it's like a
Really?
lot more square.
Dude, like,
it's
all
like
the-
boxier.
Yeah, I used
The
to
origin-
honestly
the
not
original
Maybe
know
ones?
you're right. I
something.
think you're right.
Oh man, these are like I'm like that's crazy. Before
Yeah.
you couldn't get these in or out.
That was kind of a complaint I always had with those.
Like you can get them in so easy now. Remember before people used to complain, "Oh, you used to fuck the plastic up," blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
that
me
shit
who
anymore.
complained about that.
What's that?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, that was me who complained about that.
Yeah, they don't-
It's
you-
definitely a
it's-
learning curve. It gets you once before you figure out, like, all right, you got to hold this down and then slowly push it in. Which
Yeah,
I
you
don't
just
know.
had to flex it. It wasn't really a big deal. If you just held it like this and
Yeah, it
flex,
was.
they went in. Oh fuck! I never had a problem with any of them.
I always just put them in upside down if I was having trouble.
Yeah, that works too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, these are good cases. In terms of recommendations, I would say only if you are a trauma completist, you should buy this. Otherwise, you should stay far, far away because this movie is probably one of the worst in their entire catalog.
Of
And that
actual
being
production,
s-
of actual productions,
Yeah.
because this is actually produced by Trauma. Like it's not a distributed film. Like they actually produced this one, right?
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Okay.
they did actually.
And that's what's confusing about it too, is because it's like you would think that they weren't a part of it because they were just demanding all these like
Yeah, it
edits
even
and
says
reshoots.
financed by the legendary Trauma Entertainment, who ended up requiring extensive reshoots, whatever. Yeah, so they, I don't really know. I mean, the history. I mean, most of the films that Trauma made are like Lloyd Kaufman films,
Mhm.
but they're known for like distributing films and stuff, picking up rights and distributing and stuff. But there is a handful of other films that Lloyd didn't direct that they actually did finance and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know what the fucking deal is with this one, but It's
So do
definitely
you
one of
think
the
there's
worst ones.
better trauma movies they could have released instead of this one?
Well, like
I would imagine.
they have that deal, dude. Like I'm sure there's more on the horizon. Let's hope screenplay is coming. That would be fucking sweet to get a nice release of that shit. But there's
Screenplay. I want Chiller still. Evil
Yeah.
Clutch.
dude,
There's
I
there's
was
still
literally
so
going to
much.
wear my chiller shirt tonight. That's so funny you said that. Okay, well, we're next show.
That's
But
like one of my top most wanted. I fucking love that movie.
yeah, Chillers is fun, man. It's a fun anthology that no one ever talks about. So
Hmm.
But that being said, I'm happy that I have this Igor and the Lunatics Blu-ray because I am a trauma completist, and it is nice to finally have a nice watchable copy of it. But overall, I give the movie a 3.5 out of 10.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm. All right.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
everybody, right?
it's pretty bad. All right, so yeah, that is yeah, Igor and the Lunatics, man. Oof, gross. All right, so getting into the main feature tonight, which is a film from 1981 directed by Armin Weston called The Nesting, also known as Phobia. And I do say that because that actually is going to play into what we're going to talk about, because I did watch the Stephen Thrower special feature on here because I was curious, because I've seen this movie a couple times and I wanted to know, because Stephen Thrower is really good at giving history and breaking out all the good shit about films, and he brought it for me.
Man,
So,
this movie's misleading as hell, dude. I never seen this movie, and I always just thought it was a slasher movie because the cover looks like a slasher movie to
it's
me. I'm like,
nothing. It's yeah. I think that's probably one of the biggest complaints with this movie is that the artwork on it is definitely signifying that it's a slasher film for sure.
Haunted house movie.
I've seen this movie a couple times. So
yeah, I guess this artwork's more fitting than
I'm
the other.
more familiar with
Vinegar
the
Syndrome. They also advertise it as a slasher.
Did they fucking really? Of course they
Oh
did.
my god.
Yeah, look at
Everything
this.
is a
Listen.
slasher.
So
It's
re-released
like, what? One like
stylish
maybe one,
supernatural slasher.
Oh, did they
Is what
really?
it's
There's
That's
maybe
bad.
one slasher kill in this.
I mean,
One.
it's definitely supernatural,
one, right?
and you could
Yeah,
chalk it
for
up
sure,
as
yeah.
maybe on the level of superstition on some supernatural slasher
It's a
elements.
haunted house movie.
It definitely is this movie has so many different fucking elements to it that it's
Yeah,
like
that's exactly what my complaint about this movie was. Is like it's got ideas, but it's like it feels the need to use all of them.
all right. So The Nesting from 1981. Quick synopsis: a writer suffering from agoraphobia.
Agoraphobia.
I can't even fucking say a word right now. Rents an isolated house so she can concentrate on her writing. She doesn't know that the house is former brothel and is a former brothel and is inhibited by the ghosts of the dead prostitutes. So had no one here seen this movie before?
I've seen it.
Okay, you've seen before. So I'm assuming obviously we watched the Nesting cut. So when you pop in the 4K, we're watching the Phobia cut, which is actually a longer cut. It's the Nesting cut is 103 minutes, and this is
the Nesting cut on there?
No.
I don't think it is actually. Now that I think about it,
Nope.
Yeah.
It's only just the Phobia cut. So
Okay.
keep that old Blu-ray.
yeah, which I actually never upgraded my Blue Underground DVD to Blu-ray. I just have the DVD. So the old, and this one's title comes up as Phobia. So this one's about 7 minutes longer than the Nesting cut. I'm not particularly familiar because it's been so many years since I've seen what the differences are.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't think
Same.
it's too much. It's probably a little bit of whatever. Who knows?
Doubt it's much of anything, really.
So the reason why there's two different titles, I'll get into this right now because I did watch the special features and I was hoping that Stephen Thrower was going to talk about this, and he absolutely did. So it answered my question. So the Nesting, the version that we have is obviously titled after the book that she's releasing in the movie. They call it The Nesting. But the original working title behind this movie is called Phobia. And so this movie was shot and completed in 1979, which is obvious to anybody that watches cinema. This movie was definitely a 70s movie. It has a haunted house thing. It feels like a 70s movie. It's shot like one. It's everything 70s about this movie. The reason why it didn't come out until 1981 is because it was in like legal litigation issues, because there was another movie called Phobia that was coming out. Kino actually released that movie. You guys probably recognize the cover art. Anyways, that movie was in production, and Paramount and this company got into a battle with it. Paramount obviously won the rights to have Phobia coming out. So they changed the title to
such different time periods, bro. Nobody gives a fuck about titles nowadays.
No, they don't. So anyways, so this was fully shot and ready to go in 1979. It took forever, this litigation, and so it gets copyrighted so it's ready to go in 1980, and it finally gets it gets copyrighted, I think it's 1981. And they finally get distribution for it. It gets a little minor theatrical release kind of thing, and then it gets re-released in, I think, 1983 as Mansion Massacre, which it actually ends up doing better because of the title, because it's false advertising again. But yeah, so the reason why the title is changed to Nesting is because of the whole litigation thing with losing the rights to the title. But yeah, like when you start watching this film, right away. I mean, a lot of films that were shot or done in 1980 and 81, even 82 kind of things, still feel like the 70s. But this one really does feel like the fucking 70s, right? It really does. So that was one of the questions too that was answered for me. I was like, this movie's got to be from the 70s, and sure as shit, it was totally done in 79. So that was a cool thing to find out from Stephen Throbar. He really goes into some great history with like cinematographer and stuff like that, but we'll get into that later. So your thoughts on the nesting? Who wants to start? JP, we'll start with you.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like them. It definitely does feel more 70s than 80s.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think like I was kind of just taken back by like even the opening feels like it's gonna be like a slasher, like, oh, like these people get murdered, and then it's like this is the opening scene, and like now somebody involved with that, or the son or something, is gonna go pick people off that are now living in this house or whatever as for revenge. It's not that at all. So yeah, I mean, I like it. I guess I do like the movie. I think I was just like very surprised that it wasn't a slasher film based on the cover, but you got the lead. Like there's one scene that like cracked me up when she goes out onto the roof and like the dude's like going after her, and then he just like fucking falls and gets impaled.
You know what the weird part too, especially when you figure out like the rest of the victims and like why they were killed. You find out like that doctor died for like no reason.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's actually one of the complaints I have with the film, because it literally makes no sense, because within that scene you do see one of the past victims kind of laughing it up like she caused that death for a reason, right? But it's not related to the revenge that's actually being implicated within the film. It's kind of fucking weird. The other part that's weird about that scene is that when she's on the Victorian style house, why in the fuck does he go to the furthest window away, break it, and then walk through? Why doesn't he break the one that's right next to her?
It's because the floorboard is broke. He's afraid of like the one floorboard.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
But he has to go all the way around.
But still, you would really try to like avoid that and kind of figure it out. It just seemed way too obvious that if you go to this side, you're gonna fall and probably impale yourself on some fucking architectural artwork on top of this Victorian style house. Which, by the way, is one of the coolest things about this movie. This is a real house in Upper New York, I think, is where they found it. And I mean, this is going back to like we talk about, like, with filmmaking, locations can be half the battle, bro. Like this movie, or this house is so beautiful and so authentic. It's a real house, and it's so brooding. It's so atmospheric. It's such a creepy fucking house. Like, it's amazing that they found this location to do this haunted house film. It's a perfect location. It's absolutely amazing. So that's what kind of separates good and bad films. Sometimes when you have a bad location for a narrative like this, doesn't work. You have a house like this, it totally works, right? Amazing. Really, really good stuff. So
I like the scythe kill as well, obviously.
yeah.
Probably like the highlight, honestly. Like it's just
For sure.
scythes are just the most like what do you even call that? Or that's actually a sickle,
A
right?
sickle, yeah.
Sickle, yeah.
Death walks
Um,
on the
Scythe's
scythe.
got the scythe's got the
Yeah, the
long
scythe
like,
is
stick, yeah.
like Children of the Corn shit.
Yeah.
Well, they
Right.
had sickles too, but the cover of Children. Well, there's scythes on or fucking sickles on the Children of Corn cover too. But yeah, like so the sickle is such a underutilized weapon considering how just nasty it looks.
Mhm.
Well, the kill was so good in the movie that they actually made it the cover.
Right, exactly.
Right. It's pretty good.
that guy, what's his name?
Abner.
Abner. Yeah, that dude goes full blown lunatic in like a split second.
I mean, really,
Yeah.
that whole sequence, would you ever imagine that her simply going to talk to this guy about, the history of the house and stuff like that would lead to a 20-minute car chase with the most insane
Yeah,
death
it
ever?
was
like,
bizarre.
And a 20-minute foot chase.
it's fucking wild, right? Like
It was like
that
half
shit,
the movie.
it's crazy like how
Yeah, when
how
the
fucking
car
long
chase was going on, I was kind of just like, what is going on in this movie?
Kill you, bitch.
See, it's different because I've seen, like, me and Tony have seen this film before, so like we knew what we were getting ourselves
Yeah.
into. For
I've
the first,
seen it, but
I get where you
funny-
guys are coming
yeah.
from. Like, when I first watched this movie, I was like, it's not a slasher film. What the fuck? Like, it was very it was jarring to watch for sure. But watching it again all these years later, I'm like, okay, I got a different appreciation from this, and especially learning a little bit about the film too.
It's like like a chiller. I would describe it as like it's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I actually
there's
think
like
it's a
this dark
benefit.
history.
I
And I
I
actually
just think-
really like the backstory, like why everything's
Yeah.
happening and shit.
Well,
'Cause
the reveals
tease
in
it
the-
at the beginning and then they follow it up at the end.
The
Yeah.
reveals in the film are so insane when you actually think about it. Like the fact that like Daniel isn't even who he's supposed to be, and the fact that like John Carradine's character was really responsible for this whole thing, and the fact that I don't want to give everything away, but like he's responsible for certain people's deaths and stuff like that, like maybe including his own son. It's a pretty fucking wild story.
And the fact that the person ends up going to the place because of like psychic bullshit, like dreams.
It
Yeah,
kind
what I
of
mean?
reminded me. The
They're drawn
soundtrack
to
too. It kind of reminded me of the reincarnation of Peter Proud.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd seen this before, but it was that era that conveniently keeps coming off of like when I first like got into horror. This might have been a little bit later because I first because of that I was like I thought Scream Factory was the fucking coolest thing in the world. So naturally you're gonna look at like, okay, what are the other labels? And at the time there was only so many, and Blue Underground Blu-rays were really cheap. So I remember I bought this like a long time ago and I watched it and I did like it then. I do remember liking it. I guess it never bothered me. It wasn't a slasher, and that's honestly more of a benefit.
You're
now
probably
because
relieved.
I like haunted house movies though. That's like haunted house movies like from this era are kind of like in the upper tier of
Yeah,
like,
the 70s
subgenres for me.
70s has the best haunted house movies.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, like
it makes
the
sense.
yeah, like something like even vibes of it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Changeling, which is like that's a
Oh
movie
yeah,
of-
I got the same. Yeah, 100%. Like going to the house and stuff to
I
escape.
think it's the house that really kind of reminds you of the Changeling. It's that whole big,
I think it's
kind of
also
huge
just like
mansion.
a character who's like trying to get away from everything too, which is kind of a common theme. And
So
Yeah.
that actually, kind of rewinding into our character here. So our lead character in this film her name's Laura. She is a writer.
isn't the dude in the Changeling a writer?
I think he is too, actually. Yeah.
He's a pianist.
Oh, he's a pianist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a
right.
pianist, yeah.
Yeah,
I
And
always
he's a
just think he's
penis.
always
He's
a
a big
grieving
old
father.
penis.
right, he is a penis, of course he is.
Yeah.
So anyways, our lead character Laura, and like it's her character is written so oddly throughout this film because given certain things that are revealed about her and stuff. So she's a very successful author. She has a new book coming out called The Nesting, and she has all of a sudden developed this agoraphobia.
You still can't say it.
I can't.
Agoraphobia.
Agoraphobia. And it's like totally unexplained, right? Because they do try to say that she developed orgophobia, whatever, because she has this like
Think of Igor and the Lunatics. Agoraphobia.
agoraphobia. I just have to say slower. Agoraphobia. And so she's been seeing a psychiatrist through like for a long time. They don't really tell you how long. And they kind of give this implication that like the reason why she might have developed this is because she's like kind of scared of men and stuff like that. And they don't really follow through too much with this kind of narrative because like if you look at her character, everybody in her life is like is a guy. And there's really no reason to develop this if you're, like she said, she's fine at home. And then soon as she goes outside, all of a sudden, it just developed all of a sudden where she's like, and there's a really great scene actually where she's walking through the streets of New York and she's like just tripping the fuck out, man. She's totally tripping out and shit like that. And anyways, so she's seen her psychiatrist and stuff like that. And they kind of come to this conclusion that maybe she needs to get out of the city to write her new story, kind of maybe that might help her get over this kind of thing. Because it seems like she's more having anxiety attacks is kind of what he thinks. Anyways, she decides, yeah, fuck yeah. So she goes out to the country and they are looking at places to possibly rent to write a new book and stuff like that. And she comes across this place, which, our house in the film. And it is literally the house that's illustrated on her book of The Nesting. And she's like, holy shit. So she just immediately becomes infatuated with this. She's like, holy shit, like, I know this place. Like, and her buddy that's, showing around and stuff, he's another author. And he's like, well, how did this happen and stuff? She's like, well, the illustrator just, he basically took what I had described in the book and did the illustration for it. So anyways, she moves into this place and of course, crazy shit starts happening. See, this is where it becomes problematic is like, she's supposed to have this going on with her, but it's like, they don't really play on the fact that she might be going a little bit crazy because she starts having these daydreams, these nightmares, these hallucinations and stuff. There's like so much going on that you don't really understand within the character, like what it could possibly be. Because agoraphobia is one of those things where it doesn't make you hallucinate. It doesn't make you really trip out. Once you're inside a house, you're fucking fine, right? You're just, once you're secluded, it kind of suppresses that urge to, have these anxiety attacks and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things with her character. It's quite complex and stuff. I think they had a lot of things. They had a lot of moving parts within her character that wasn't fully fleshed out properly and stuff like that. But once you get the reveal in the end of the film as to why she starts having these visions and these hallucinations and stuff, it does kind of make sense. You kind of forget about the whole agoraphobia thing and stuff like that. So I don't really have too big of a problem with that. What are your guys' thoughts?
This is kind of
yeah. I mean, you can go ahead, Tyler.
this is kind of like a mixed bag film for me, where it's one of those things where I feel like there's a lot of weak points in the script, but I think the actual horror scenes in this movie are really good.
Do you think they overdid it? Do you think if they overdid it with not only like the hallucinations and kind of nightmares and stuff, but
I
like
think that's the biggest weakness of this movie is they had a lot of ideas and it felt like they wanted to use every single one of them. Like
I think my
we gotta
biggest
have a
problem.
car chase, we gotta have a slasher kill, we gotta have this flashback, we gotta have this scene. Like it just seemed like there was so much and it almost got repetitive that it was like hammering the same points. I've seen some people. I was looking at some reviews and like people are a lot lower on this movie than I would suspect they are. And it seems like a lot of people keep calling it a slow burn, which I would not agree with at all because I don't think it's really ever like building like tension to a point. I
No,
think
it's not
just kinda
foreboding.
has.
It's not foreboding in the sense of a slow burn per se. It's really about a character that's just kind of going through the motions and like
Yeah.
trying to figure out shit. Like I wouldn't say it's like a slow burn.
I don't-
There's
I
things that
don't
are
know
happening
if-
throughout the film. Like we're getting hints of what's
Exactly.
happening. She's seeing things from the past. But
Yeah.
one of the things that have always bugged me about this movie that I realized watching it this time was when she's having these kind of hallucinations and when these things are happening to other characters and stuff like that, the it manifests itself into physicality where other people can actually see these things and or are being killed by almost like a physical manifestation of
Yeah,
like,
I felt like they went a little overkill on the ghost, and she'd have more scenes of hallucination. It was just like so much, and like there was like that part at the end where you had the guy you had someone telling a story, and you were getting something in a flashback, and you also had like a ghost,
Yeah.
basically telling the same thing, and it just felt like it was like overkill.
Well,
on
it's
it, where
more about
you
the
were getting
parts
to
of
the
like
same point.
like even with Daniel, like you can there's scenes in the film where like he's seeing things too, and I'm like, it's not just her seeing the past and stuff like that. Like it's manifested itself into the point where other characters are actually seeing what she is seeing. So but it becomes physical. I mean, with the caretaker's death, which is actually the best scene in the entire film, in my opinion, where he dies in the water.
Yeah,
And then we learn
I think
why-
that's such a good horror scene. Yeah, and like
But then we learn
like,
why
Love the hands.
but
Yeah,
we learn
when it's
why
hot.
he dies in there too, and that's
Yeah.
actually a really
Mhm.
cool reveal too. We're like, oh fuck, that makes sense. But then I love the reveal of John Carradine when it basically reveals why he and Abernair die the way they do, because this is essentially a fucking ghostly revenge movie.
Yeah,
It's kind of interesting, and I think those reveals are actually quite cool. And I think if you're not invested and if you've already tuned out, you might have missed these things within the film. But the
Yeah.
movie's actually pretty good. Like, I mean, I feel like it does overstay its welcome runtime a little bit. I think it could be cut down, especially this cut. It's 110
honestly, the
minutes.
nesting cut is probably the superior cut.
Okay, I mean, I really honestly watching this film, I thought this was my favorite watch I ever had with this one. I don't know what was different about it, but I was really
Probably
enjoying
the
this.
4K restoration.
I mean, it does look good.
Hell.
You know what really pisses me off? Actually, speaking of this, so you see this little crease on my fucking right there?
Yeah,
No.
That's vinegar
No.
syndrome.
I see it.
Yep.
So that came folded in my case, factory sealed. It was
Oh,
Inside the
Oh.
plastic.
yeah, man.
That's
I pulled it out. I was like,
brutal.
oh, what the fuck, man? So I pulled it
Yeah,
back.
it's
I'm like,
not
oh, no,
something
crease.
I'd like. I
If you bug them about it, they will send you.
I know. I'm not that type of person, man.
Exactly.
I'm
I'm exactly in your camp. Like I'm not gonna complain about it.
No,
but
I'm not
like at
either.
the same time, it would bug me a
on
little
on
bit.
my homegrown or no, it was the TV box set, TV movie box set. The one of the titles on there, the back of it where like the words are written was like there was a printing error and it was like all jumbled. You couldn't like see it.
yeah, I remember
See it.
yeah.
And they sent me a new sleeve or whatever the hell that thing's called.
Right. I mean, this isn't too bad. I mean, it kind of plays into the whole, artwork. I don't know. It's fine. I'm
Like a folded poster.
right. Not really a big deal to me, but
You should take it out, just fold it the rest of the way.
I should.
Might as well just go full bore.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could see people being a little bit scared off in this film when they see the 110-minute runtime on this. Now that I think about it, I'm really shocked that they don't have the other cut on this. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
It is kinda cool
that's a bit
because-
surprising because Vinegar
They
Syndrome
do
is-
that sometimes. They did that with Blood Beach. Fucking
You wish it was Blood Beach.
no, what was it? Fucking Blood Hook. They put like the
Criterion
almost 2
Jr.
hour
over
long cut
here.
of that on there and left
Is
like
that
the
the only
85
one
minute
that's
trauma code off.
isn't
Yeah.
that like over 2 hours?
Well, the
There's
trauma
one
cut is
it's
really
like
cut
an
though.
hour 95 minutes or something. Or
Yeah.
hour six what fucking 55 minutes.
Right. I wish you would have the trauma cut except with the added gore. That'd
Yeah,
be
exactly.
like the perfect cut right there.
The ultimate cut.
Because it's way too fucking long now.
I like
Criterion
Bloodhook.
Jr. over here.
Okay, so I do have one question about this film that I cannot seem to find an answer for, and it's been bugging me. So when we get this reveal of who actually shot up, so the opening scene in the film, we have these three guys that go into this brothel, and they fucking all we see is gunshots and a bunch of people die. We see later on exactly who is doing this, and there's a reason for why these certain people in the film are being killed and stuff like that. But there's three people in the scenes. There's three guys that do the killings. Who the fuck is the third guy? Because we know who the two are for sure. It's Abner and the fucking
Caretaker Frank.
The caretaker Frank, who tries to rape fucking Laura. Like Lauren's
Maybe
like,
it is the doctor. You think he's hiding something?
It's not though, because he doesn't fit the age profile.
Yeah,
like, these guys are way older. They're way, and I thought that too, and I was like, because in that scene we have the lady in red who's laughing when the shit goes down and stuff like that, and it would make sense, right? It would actually make sense that person would be the third assailant.
Mm-hmm.
But even when John Carradine gives his little monologue when he's dying, he doesn't say anything about fucking the third one. It's weird. It's like a plot hole. Who the fuck is the third person? And why aren't they being avenged? It's weird. It's like a total plot hole.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, I can't even find any information on it. I'm like, I looked and looked and looked. I'm like, did I miss something? And I went back and looked.
That guy got away scot-free.
Yeah, he definitely got away scot-free because someone else was there. There's three people.
Who's
two people
Scott?
paid the price.
Or is that because of Scotland Yard? Did I just solve a mystery that I've always wondered?
Is that pun after pun right there? What the fuck?
I don't know where that came from.
I
Maybe.
always like,
people say got away
like
scot-free. Maybe that means like Scotland Yard didn't catch him.
It could be. It could be a British saying. That mean it came from England, man. Yeah.
I've always liked it. So my old boss, that was his name, Scott, and I would get in an hour before him, and he was like,
Would you say great Scott?
No, he was such a micromanager that he would drive me insane. But I would get in an hour before him, so an hour to myself, and I called that hour Scot-free hour.
I got away scot-free.
So it was a Scot-free hour. Leave me alone.
Anyway,
so one of my favorite aspects of this film, actually, like I said before, is the location of the film. I don't think they could have picked a better location to film in this old style Octavial fucking Victorian style house, which I would live in that house in fucking 2 seconds if I could get my hands on one. There's no such thing out in the West here.
Is that house still standing today?
Yeah,
because it looks pretty beat up.
No idea. I mean, it would.
I
be
agree
fucking,
with you though.
Yeah,
because
I love.
And I've noticed this a lot. Like movies filming in New York have always just looked so amazing. And I've always like noticed how pretty and how great the locations are, like specifically like in New York State, outside of city limits.
Right.
Yeah, like upstate New York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, upstate New York for sure. So I'm watching this film, of course, with a critical eye, and I'm like, man, like honestly, this shit is shot really good. I'm like, who the fuck shot this movie? And I learned that it's well, of course, it's directed by what the fuck's the guy's name again?
Armand Weston.
Armand Weston, who actually comes from directing. He was a porn director.
Oh yeah, I noticed that looking at his filmography. I was like, it's funny you would make a movie about a brothel when he was a porn director.
Yeah, but to be honest, man, in the movie's defense, it's not a it's not an
it's not at all, but it
film
just
at
made me
all.
laugh.
But so this movie was shot by a cinematographer named Jose Fernandez. He's like a Brazilian director or whatever, or a cinematographer. And he worked with Armand in some of his fucking, porns and stuff like that. But this guy was responsible for shooting, famous ones like The Spy Who Came and Deep Throat.
Spy Who Came.
They end up talking about like all these films, man, The Devil and Miss Jones and stuff. Like, I'm not familiar with all these pornos, but a lot of people know these things.
That's a big one,
and they're known.
They're
for
all big
being
ones.
Very, very cinematic porn movies. Like, they're literally porn movies, right? He also shot Legacy of Satan in '74, which is not the greatest movie in the world, but he did like Abduction. What was the other one that he did? It was like Temptations, and then he did like a bunch of pornos. Anyways. And then he did The Nesting. So he comes from like that era of like doing all these porn films and stuff. Then he did The Prowler. Shot the fucking Prowler.
Prowler feels very similar to this, actually.
In the same year. So this guy broke out. He was known as being like a really good cinematographer. He ended up shooting Children of the Corn in '84. And he also shot
has Scythes.
He also shot
Sickles.
Friday the 13th Part 4 in '84 also. Fucking wild. So then he broke out, and people are like, "Hey, this guy can shoot films." He shot Missing in Action in '84. He shot.
So he's just the Joe Zito guy.
Exactly, man. So check this out, man. It's so fucking wild. So he obviously goes to canon. He does Missing in Action. He does Invasion USA, which we all fucking love. Braddock. He did Mission in Action 3. He did Red Scorpion, which is fucking awesome. Delta Force 2. I think he did a bunch of pornos there. He did The Hitman, which is another
Chuck Norris
film. Did Sidekicks, which is funny. Body of Influence. Hellbound.
Oh my God.
Like, he did Top Dog. Like, he broke out. So basically what I'm saying is he went from Deep Throat
to Chuck Norris.
Man. Like,
and deep throating Chuck Norris.
It's pretty wild, man. But like, the way Stephen Thrower talks about his early porn films, he's like, these aren't just like your regular shit, man. These are cinematic films that have hardcore sex in them. He's like, these are beautifully shot movies, and it makes sense that he would go off and do, things like this. And like I said, I didn't know anything until I started watching that thing, and I'm like, man, The Nesting is shot really well. It's captured really well. Fucking figures, man. Crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
The music is really nice too, like very atmospheric, and the people that composed the soundtrack didn't go on to really do anything else. So I thought that was interesting too. Mm-hmm. It's just like a movie made by like a bunch of first-time people doing a horror movie, and it just ended up being pretty decent.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's problems within the narrative a little bit. Like the agoraphobia stuff, I feel like isn't like, it's there in the beginning and it doesn't kind of play out through the film. You know what I mean? Like
they just forget about it.
They kind of forget about that kind of aspect and stuff. But there is some reveals in this film that I think are really strong to what we saw before. And you're just like, oh shit. The whole Daniel character is like, I feel so sorry for him because like, dude, can you imagine thinking that someone's your grandfather and then finding out like, oh, my dad died in the fucking war, but no, he didn't die in the fucking war. He died in this shit. But like you're actually the product of like your fucking dad's wife that cheated on you. But like, and that's the other part in the film that's so weird is that John Carradine, who's this rich guy or whatever, he took him in. Like he treated him like he was his grandson, even though he wasn't. It was his daughter-in-law's mistake, essentially. Is that what it was? It's such a fucking weird part of the narrative, but I'm like, I actually felt sorry for him. I'm like, that's kind of crazy. But it is a weird concept to the film. Like, you know, like she's surrounded by guys the whole time. And like, she has this relationship with the other author that, you know, shows her the place and, you know, is going around showing the place and stuff like that. And like, nothing really comes of that. It's weird. It's like, you think in the film and the writing, it would be her probably ending up with this guy, and it never happens. It's weird. Like nothing in this film is like kosher to anything. So I kind of like that though. I kind of like that. So twists and turns all over the place, but good stuff. Good stuff. I actually really like this film, man. Like the more I think about it and talk about it and shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it too. It's another one of those perfect little like regional gothic movies that you can throw on a weekend day. perfect to have in the background. It's just one of those types of movies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was actually quite surprised by the lead actress. What's her name? Lauren, whatever. Anyways, the lead actress in the film, where they have those scenes where, you know, she stands in front of the mirror and gets naked. For some reason, I never thought that she was going to be showing her boobs in the movie. She didn't seem like someone that was going to just like show her boobs and stuff. But I guess it kind of plays into how they're telling the story a little bit. I mean, not necessarily, I'm not trying to call her a whore because even though she's like, and that's the other crazy thing in the reveal, man, is like where she actually comes from and stuff, which I think is a misstep too, in terms of like, you know, how but I guess it's not really a misstep. Actually, the more I think about it is that
she's confused.
She is confused because she's seen a psychiatrist for reasons unknown kind of thing. And then we get to know why possibly she's a little bit fucked up a little bit, right? So yeah, it actually makes a lot more sense. This is why we talk things through. So yeah, it's actually kind of going up for me a little bit. So it's a little bit more subtle. You just kind of have to think about it. But I think there's some really good reveals. Like there's some really different things that happen in this movie and stuff. And, you know, effects wise and stuff, I think it's pretty good. Like I think the doctor that dies like on the Victorian roof, I think is a pretty cool scene. JP talked about the Sith. I think that scene's pretty cool. I just cannot fucking believe how long that scene goes on.
That dude was so fucking goofy. He was almost like a Three Stooges character.
It's because like he was literally that dude that was like, you can't talk about the secret that I hold, right? So he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. He's like, you say some shit, I'm gonna kill you. So they get into this huge thing. But like to go into a full-on car chase that goes on for like 20 minutes is crazy to me in the middle of a like atmospheric kind of like haunted house film and stuff, and then it just breaks into this. You're like, what the fuck? Like it's so wild.
There was one part in that chase scene that I fucking hated. And that was when she got Abner to roll over. And then she fucking stopped to go check on his ass.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He literally just tried to kill you.
Right.
And then of course when you get back to your car it stalls. And then it's back to like foot chase number 2 for another 10 minutes.
Right. I think actually one of the most awkward scenes in the entire film is Frank the handyman scene where, you know, she politely asks him in for like some tea and stuff like that, and then he takes that the wrong way, and like he doesn't seem like the type of character that's going to take advantage of somebody and try to rape them. It just seemed so out of place to me, but I'm just like, it was an opportunity once we know, because when you're watching you're like, what the fuck is up with this, but then we understand why he ends up getting killed. But
he's like fuck it,
I know, he just went
a fever pitch. Fuck it, I gotta try now or never. That scene where he like jumps and dives and rolls down those stairs. Did you see that? Yeah. The stuntman who did that shit had to hurt so fucking bad.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, not a perfect film, but it definitely falls into that like late 70s kind of haunted house type shit. And JP's right though. I mean, this movie is completely it's probably got a stain on it because it's marketed as a slasher film. It really is not a slasher film. People need to know that before they go in. There's a couple films like this out there that appear to be slasher films that aren't.
I didn't even realize people were calling this a slasher film, honestly.
I think it's if you saw the artwork for this at any point in time, you know, maybe Anchor Bay, fucking Blue Underground, whoever put it out, and you weren't familiar, you see that Sith in the fucking face, man. You would think that's a slasher.
I don't remember how I felt when I bought it based on the poster, but I guess I knew going into watching it this time that it was not a slasher.
But the nesting is a curious name for it, though, right? Like the nesting generally wouldn't be like the type of slasher title you would be looking.
That also so. Like the nest, like the title, the nesting, that can mean anything. Like that doesn't mean anything to me.
It could have been a cockroach film for all we know, right? So, I like this movie. I think that I've talked myself up on it a little bit, man, because I honestly had a lot of fun with it. I was just surprised. I was like, holy shit, 110 minutes. I'm like, damn. But not perfect film. It's not a perfect film, but yeah. You guys got anything else? I'm sure Tony does.
No.
What haven't we talked about here? No, I think I'm good. All my notes have been mentioned. The only thing that that hasn't been mentioned is the fact that Lauren is the mom from Silver Bullet. That's like the only
Yeah,
other
she
movie
is.
that she was in.
Yeah.
She wasn't in much, but two cool movies, I think.
Yeah, that's right, man. She told I looked up the credits on that one, but um
Oh, there's also one more note that I have, and that's I noticed that Abner, when they went into his house, he randomly had like a wrestling magazine like nailed to his wall. Did you notice that?
I did. I
I was
actually
like,
did
I
notice
was
that.
like looking at that. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Yeah. Dude, the first thing I noticed when she went into that, I'm like, how the fuck do people live like that, man? You got fucking empty bottles and food all over you. Like, I don't understand how that is a thing, bro. I mean, I get it, but like,
He's psychotic.
I just can't. Like, the house is so gross to me. I'm just like, fuck, whatever. But I guess he's like a chicken farmer or whatever it is. But I shouldn't even
He's
say that, man,
gross
because
too.
my sister in law is a chicken farmer and they don't live like that. So that's fucked up. But anyways,
That's a movie, Chicken Farmer.
chicken farmer, man. Hell yeah. Tyler, what else you got on this? You got anything else?
Nah, I think we pretty much beat it up.
JP, what are your thoughts? You didn't say much during this one.
Like I feel a lot similar to you guys. Like I think that it's an effective little haunted house flick. I really tend to like the backstory, and I think that it set it up well. Like you just witness these murders, and
Yeah.
then by the time you get to the end of the film, and you're just like, okay, piecing things together, and you're like, this is actually kind of dark history. And then once you find out like that the lead character is like more involved than just a bystander, you're kind of like, oh, okay, this is it makes sense why she would be like sort of drawn to this place and the history behind it. Um, and yeah, I mean, I do consider this a little bit of a slow burn. But I don't necessarily think that like I like slow burns, you know. I think Let's Scare Jessica to Death is a slow burn, and I like that movie a lot. But it like in like most 70s films were just made like this, so in kind of it's not a slow burn in context, but like to modern standards, I would consider this like slower storytelling. But again, that's just kind of how the 70s were. Like I said, I enjoyed the sickle to the face. I enjoy that Moodz can't pronounce agoraphobia. That's probably
Agoraphobia.
one of my favorite
I said it like
parts.
4 times after, so
Yeah,
and
I helped you.
I didn't fuck it up. It's just one of those weird.
Um,
It's agoraphobia is one of those words that you just don't say a lot. You really don't. So
I like how all the phobias don't make fucking sense. Like all the
yeah,
names.
it's not like cockroachophobia.
agoraphobia, yeah. I mean, I don't really. Yeah, that's weird. It is weird. I got it under control though.
But yeah, I mean, I think that it's I was actually when we picked our featured review, I think it was the nesting or murder rock we were gonna go with.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen either, but I actually am reviewing Murder Rock for another show in a couple weeks. For Giallo July.
Ooh.
What show is that?
Cole Anchovy show. I don't remember the name off the top of my head.
Who? What?
Cole Anchovy. He's in our group page, man. He's been like around for like 10 years or something. I don't know, a long time.
Cool anchovies. I have no idea what the
Cole.
Oh,
Cole.
His last name is not Anchovy. It's just I don't remember last names or know how to pronounce things.
What's the name of the podcast?
He doesn't remember.
This motherfucker don't
remember?
listen to a word I say.
yes, I remember.
But you
It's
can't
Cole
remember the fucking
he-
show?
He doesn't even remember his last name.
Bro, yeah, come on, dog.
Your guest spotting on the
Yeah.
show that you can't remember the podcast for. That's amazing.
Yeah, I know Carly's done a few of his episodes. This is my first time. But yeah, so I'll be doing Murder Rock soon. But yeah, I think that the nesting was a cool pick. Just because it actually was our last episode what was our feature on the last episode? Was it
Devil
Joel
fetus
Delaney?
for
Oh,
no
okay.
devil fetus for vengeance.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
this and Joel Delaney have like similar vibes too. Just in
Really?
terms of not like plot wise, but like just the
Overall feel.
like feel, like the like where this one's set and stuff like that. Just sort of that like 70s look to it. But yeah, so it's my opinions on the nesting.
Okay. Fair enough. I said my piece. I felt like I talked the entire thing. Me and Tony just had a conversation. But anyways. All right. So JP, what do you give the nesting?
I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Tyler, what do you give it?
I'm gonna give it a 6.
Tony.
I'm gonna give it a 7. I like it. Haunted house movies aren't my favorite. I'm going to say that hooker ghosts really aren't the scariest thing in the world, but it was a fun time waster, and I do really enjoy like the gothic atmosphere of it.
I will give it a 7.5. I talked myself up. I was at a 7, but I'm going to 7.5 on this one. So yeah. All right. Well, that is the nesting from 1981. What is your release of the week, JP?
My release of the week is my own personal pick here. I did watch everybody's stuff except for Tyler's, as per usual. So I'm gonna go Bone Sickness, dog. I think it's packed edition with that everybody needs to pick up.
Agreed. As with like every Saturn's core release, that shit is just so loaded. Like I'm almost like afraid to pick a Saturn's core movie every month because I'm like, do I want to go through like fucking
Dude,
15
I know.
hours
I
of
didn't even,
extras?
bro. I did 2 commentaries and a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff, but there's like gag reels and um all kind of shit. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even get halfway through the special features.
You're lucky
Uh,
there wasn't a bonus feater on there.
well, there's fucking 2 cuts of the movie, so they might
Oh
as
yeah,
well
that
be.
too.
But yeah.
Because half the time, like Saturn's core, they'll just put like 5 of the dudes' movies like on there, plus like shorts and all this other crazy shit. I know the other Blu-ray that he put on, or they put out, that Dawn They Sleep, has another feature that he did before that one too. I forget what it's called.
Oh, I assume it's my go.
Tyler didn't go.
No, I didn't go yet. Yeah,
Sorry.
we're gonna be tingling in Paris this month.
I think I'm also gonna
How
go with The Last
unoriginal.
Tango in Paris. I really like that movie. And I agree that
Woo!
Marlon Brando's performance was insane. Like I wasn't feeling like too much into it until the viewing scene that
Yeah,
happens.
that's
After
the scene I
that,
was talking about. Where like you're like, okay, I understand now.
yeah, it really puts the whole movie in perspective. And then everything that happens after that is almost like a yin yang situation. I thought was really interesting. But yeah, I can go with that one too.
Well, as much as I dig Severance, I'm going with Bone Sickness
Ooh,
because I'm a
split.
huge Brian Pollin fan, and this was a great release. And I have to say, which I forgot to mention while JP was reviewing the film, this actually looks better than the DVD. 100% looks better. I don't know
Oh yeah,
how they did
definitely.
it.
I would hope
thought it
so.
looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks better, man. I was like, damn, that actually, wow, crazy. So, Bone Sickness, haven't dug into the features on this shit, but man, great fucking movie. I
Features
love
are
it.
kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Hopefully they just continue to put out more of his shit. I'd love
I
for
know.
them to put out Fetus.
I was thinking the same thing actually, because we got the early one, we got Bone Sickness, Fetus, let's get Blood Pigs and fucking Cryptic Plaza. Fuck yeah, man. I would definitely be upgrading my DVDs of those. For show. For show.
Show no.
All right. So what are we reviewing next?
So we had a
Next
split
month.
on this one, by the way. 2-2 for release of the week.
Yeah.
So
Bone
it's
Sickness
two
or
bones.
Pervert movie?
Well, I was actually thinking about going with Igor and the Lunatics, but it was close. It was close. Because I think my rating on this one is 1 out of 10 now. It's just I can't do it anymore, man. It's bad.
Yeah, that last watch like made it worse.
It
Everybody
did.
talks about
It did.
everybody talks about how like Vinegar Syndrome they're just known for polishing turds.
Yeah.
That's like a turd that they over polished in my opinion.
They made it worse. They made it worse by polishing it. Yeah,
It's actually funny as fuck.
that's fucking.
Yeah, so next month we will be doing our May titles. So we kind of alluded to it earlier, some of the titles, but I guess we could start with the person that isn't here. We're supposed to have a guest. That will be Mike returning, not Dan. And he
Dan will
picked
be
a
here
movie
until-
Apparently,
for-
we only have 2 rotating guests on this show. So
we're gonna get slipcover ass Steve.
I will legitimately reach out to him if you guys want to.
dude,
do
I'm
it.
not
Do
putting
it.
some dude that makes a living off fucking satires, man.
He's not
That's
making
fucking.
a living.
It's
He's
so
not making
He's not
a
making a
living on
living.
it.
He's got like
He's got like
1,000
2
subs.
followers.
having.
He's
Okay,
got
I should
like a- he's
having
got like
fun
1,000
doing
subs.
satire. It's just it's so corny
so
to me.
Funny.
It's so.
funny.
I'm sorry,
Have you
bro.
seen his
It was
video?
it was super funny for like the first 3 videos I watched, and then I was like, it's the same shit over and over again. I'm like,
I
this is
assume
not
the dude
fun.
would not satirically review movies with us for 4 hours.
I
But
feel
how
like
could
he
you-
would stay in character.
If he's
Yeah,
in character,
I
that would be
probably
the
like
funnest
that
thing.
even more.
I would
wouldn't
want him
even
to
be
stay in
mad if he
character.
did.
I just don't understand how you can do the same video over and over and over again.
Well,
It's like
he's
literally the
getting
same thing.
funnier. Like the last video I looked up from was like how to hide your Blu-ray purchases from your wife or romantic.
Yeah, you guys did
partner.
that.
See, I'm pretty tapped out, so I didn't see that. shit.
leave the guy alone.
You just hide it in plain
No,
sight.
I mean, I
Dude, his
respect what he's doing. It's
Criterion
just, it's
video
not
was
for
so
me. I thought
funny.
it was funny at first, but
He
it's
would
not funny
pick.
anymore.
He would pick up like he's like, why would anybody want to buy these old black and white movies? At least these ones put a color on the cover and trick you. With the
See, the funny thing to me is that he'd be calling out other YouTubers like Born to Be Bad and like that fucking mid lamer fucking media dude. That guy is actually terrible. But when he was making fun of him, I'm like, yeah, the guy does suck. I'm like, fuck, it's kind of funny, but
I'm down to make fun of people.
he was like
Let's-
he was making fun of everybody and nobody was responding to it. I was like, is it actually satire at this point? I didn't know. I was like, shit. Because I was watching the other guys' videos, man. I was like, shit. Because I was trying to get into with the younger people, and it turns out they're all fucking lame.
I'm sure there's some other guest speaking people that we actually know that collect.
Yeah.
New collectors are the worst, to be honest. They're
But
awful.
the film Mike picked actually looked kind of interesting. It was from the same label that his last movie was from,
The film movement.
Film Movement. It is The Wait.
Yeah, what the
Um,
fuck is the weight?
I don't know. I looked at the screenshots on Vinegar Syndrome's, like, you know how they have the cover and then like screen grabs from the movie.
Did you
And it
spell
actually looked
Tony's
like
name?
just cool.
It's a horror movie.
Look at like Google shit right now. JP, you spelled Tony's name with an E.
Well, how you know I did that?
I'm assuming.
Tone, like Tone Loc.
You're like
Tony.
Tony. That's hilarious. Ah, shit.
But so yeah, Mike will be doing The Wait.
I am doing Criminally Insane 2.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I'm excited for
Also known as what? Crazy Fat Ethel too.
Yeah.
How do you have that already?
This is
Is
just
that
the
the
DVD.
Oh,
It's
so
like
you
the
actually-
old DVD.
So you actually Tony's doing Hot Saucy Pizza Girls, which is a porn.
Yep.
Got
And it's,
Desiree in it.
It's a
That's what-
Melusine release.
Does it
That's
have
why I didn't know what it
Lisa
was. I was like, what the
DeLeo
hell
in
is
it as
Hot
well?
Saucy? I thought it was like
What's
a
up?
fucking
I said,
sex
does it have
comedy.
Lisa DeLeo in it as well? I can't remember.
I don't know. I'm not as well versed on porn like you and Dan are. You guys like
Well, yeah, man. I
I'm
started
like, you
bringing
guys
up
are like scholars on the subject.
Yeah,
I started bringing up
I've seen that a few times.
Buddy's cinematography, and you're like, oh, I know that one. I know that one. That's a
Yeah,
classic. I'm like, what the fuck?
The only one I didn't know was The Spy Who Came.
Yeah, it's an early one, 69. That one said actually
Yeah.
1969.
I like the name of that one.
Yeah. Hot Saucy Pizza Girls is silly fun.
Yeah, it's a classic. That's one that I have seen and I enjoy.
Yeah.
I've never grabbed an appreciation for actual porn movies because I watched some of those when I was younger, but I couldn't appreciate a porn. I just wanted the sex. I didn't care about the film. But I think if I actually watched a porn movie from the 70s and actually appreciate, especially one of these ones that are actually like shot well and like they're,
Yeah, it's interesting to watch the way they shoot the sex scenes. Like if you want to look at it like in a critical eye in that aspect, it is really interesting because it's like a lot of the time like their weird little fetishes like come out in full force.
Yeah. I also find it fascinating to see like what kind of music they use. Like there's actually some really great like porn soundtracks out there.
Which is so ironic because you never notice music in horror films, but you're more worried about the porn music.
I would say I never.
It's a little ironic, isn't it?
Porn, regular movie music. It's just not something that I gravitate to all the time. But anyway, Hot Saucy Pizza Girls for Tony. Tyler's is probably something stupid. What is it?
All right. We're going back to Connie again this year. And
you really got to branch out a little bit more every once in a while. You got to be like the two same.
Bro, you are literally in one lane. Like,
yeah,
you are
come on,
just like you're on a one-way street, bro. You're on a one-way street.
Care. I don't give a fuck.
Dude, get off the one-way street, man. Go on the freeway.
I don't give a fuck. Someone's got to do it.
I mean, you do have your niche, but like everyone, like last season, you did like one or two outside of that. I think you should at least do one or two outside.
Yeah, what is like the most un-Tyler pick that you've done so far?
I don't think I really have done un-Tyler.
Yeah, I don't think there is one.
Unless you count like, I mean,
Seventh Courage Wish from the Paul is like a little bit like more main line. But
yeah, like I mean,
still
I don't
fits
really
the Tyler mold.
Yeah,
I
would say that.
I mean. Like, because I did Quartz Mania too, but that's like the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Like when's Tyler gonna pick Igor and the Lunatics or something like that?
I'll pick that when someone picks Batang West Side. So that's what we're doing. We're doing Batang West Side from Lob Diaz. It's 5 hours long. So when someone else does that, then I'll do something else.
5 hours? Jesus Christ! Okay, I give you props for
hours.
If your review is over an hour, I'm punching you.
Nah, like you don't. It's movies that are 5 hours long aren't because there's 5 hours of plot. It's because it's like a real like slow.
It's real
slow atmosphere. Yeah, it's a slow. I don't know, man. Because
it might be a quick review because I don't think anybody else is watching this movie.
Oh no!
Moodz, are you gonna watch the 5 hour one next month?
No, because I didn't buy that shit. But I don't even understand. Like, how do you review a 5 hour movie?
I've watched plenty of.
I mean, I've reviewed many like fucking seasons of shows. So
yeah, I'm being an idiot, but I mean, 5 hours is a lot of.
It's going to be intentional, like slow immersive cinema. Like that's the game. Like you're settling in and like.
Bro, you're already sucking it.
So is this like the director's cut of it, or is this just the?
No, this is like an average length movie for this director.
Dude, I will absolutely love if you hate this movie. I will love.
That'd be funny.
He's like the Beelzebub of Asia.
He made a.
I almost spit that out. I almost spit that out when you said Beelzebub.
He had a movie that this is not his shortest movie. I don't know what his longest movie is, but this is not his shortest movie. He had a movie that played at Kings this year, or Cannes. I can't ever say it correctly.
Is that Cannes?
I think it's Cannes. But he had a movie that just played at that festival that was 2 hours and 45 minutes. And people were like, damn, he made a short one.
Yeah, he's finally like learning how to be an editor. It's good on him.
And then my pick is something that's not as stupid as Tyler's. That's 5 hours. Mine is Charlie One Eye. Charlie One Eye, BSL.
which I am
So-
hella excited to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it too. That's why I picked it. And then the featured review, we kind of hinted at it. It's gonna be dirty work. I don't think we done like a full blown comedy before
No.
as a main.
I'm gonna say
Unless
probably
you want
no.
to count Cannibal the Musical.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess I
yeah,
can.
that's
I never really
that's-
thought of
It's
that.
like that's a musical. It's like that's a bunch
comedy,
of
though.
things.
It's
but
musical
yeah.
for comedy first, musical second.
But it has horror elements, and like me personally,
Dirty Work is just comedy.
Yeah.
I
Like,
don't
this
really.
is definitely the first like straight kind of like frat like style comedy.
Mhm.
I don't really know specifically how to review comedies without just revealing all the jokes.
I think
just
for
talk
this
about
one
the
we
jokes,
have to
bro.
because
You talk
I want
about
to
the
talk
jokes.
about all the director cut scenes too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the random like different
Well,
things.
you would know because I sure in hell wouldn't.
I mean, you're gonna watch both cuts, right?
Probably not, but if you want me to, I guess.
He's probably not even gonna like the movie, anyways.
Oh, that would be sad. I'd feel
I'd be
bummed
shocked
if I
if
don't
you
like
don't
the
like
movie.
it.
You better fucking like it.
It's really
Like, I'm
funny,
not
man.
saying,
It's
like,
For
awesome.
Norm,
everyone's
Everybody.
got-
for Bob.
Yeah, like
And for
gotta,
Chris.
we gotta think it's like
I
a
didn't even know who
masterpiece or
Norm
anything,
Macdonald
but-
was until he died.
Wow, really? Damn.
Well, I knew like after I saw it, like everybody's
the
making a big
fuck,
deal about
dude?
him
Are you
dying. I was like, oh
serious?
yeah, I've seen that guy before, but I didn't know like any of his shit. But lately, randomly, I've been watching like tons of like clips of him, and dude's fucking funny as shit. So I respect the guy now. I just didn't. He just
Well,
never crossed-
then you're gonna love this movie then if you like his comedy now.
cool.
I feel like it almost gets better the older you get, honestly. Because, like, watching it as a kid, there's so much shit that just goes straight over your head, especially that movie.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm actually really looking forward to that feature.
Yeah,
review. And
Norm
I
Macdonald
like-
was ahead of his time, man.
I like doing
fun.
different shit too. You know what I mean? Like, I would like to eventually not do a Vinegar Syndrome proper because we've done what 4 in a row as a feature. So,
Last one was what?
the last one we did that wasn't was Iced.
Yeah, it was Iced. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the one after that is gonna have to be a partner label, right?
No. The one
Is it
after that
partner
is
with?
our we don't have a featured review show.
We did
Those are our
Oh
list
yeah, we
shows.
did. We did
we did the
the
sadness last year.
sadness. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, we'll have to pick one of these titles that are about to be announced in like a day.
Yeah.
For the featured.
Oh, so we are doing a feature review too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we did the sadness last time.
Sadness.
We did that the same episode as our little
Yeah,
top
Was
fives.
it was it Tyler?
Yeah, it was the same episode.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna.
So that was when we had
because I
technical
don't trust him.
difficulties.
I don't trust the damn guy anymore.
Which month was it? Yeah, it was the partner month. It sold out in like 3 hours, and people were like, "There's scalpers."
Don't you love how people just never learn? It's like this shit just happens over.
It's like they
and
told
over
you
and
that
over.
they told you like there's this amount of copies. Like if you were gonna spend the $40 on it now, like you weren't gonna spend it in a week. So I don't understand what the problem is.
Yep, you're right. We did do the sadness. So yeah, we will pick one main review, and then the rest of the show will be like fun shit.
Yeah, a couple
Yeah.
top 5 lists or whatever, and then
Some
Maybe-
random
or-
reviews from past catalog because we don't really get to talk about the past catalog too much.
we'll do one
So this is the
top 5 list and then random reviews. Yeah,
yeah. This is like the best show to do like back catalog stuff.
yeah. Just fuck, man. I just watched the Dead Don't Come Home again the other night. Vinegar Syndrome.
Dead dudes in the house.
Dead Dudes in the House or House on Tombstone Hill, like whatever title you want to call it by. And every time I watch that movie, I love it more. It's
That
so
movie is so underrated.
it is fucking mad underrated. And that's another trauma release. That's super. Don't let the title Dead Dudes in the House make you go left on it, because it is.
That's what made me even watch the movie in the first place.
A lot of people wouldn't check it, but you're different though. A lot of people wouldn't check it out
Right.
because of that title, and I knew it
Dave
as that
Z
title.
is like primary example. He would
Exactly,
never
he would
watch
never
that.
check it out. Honestly, dude, the movie's not really comedic at all. It's not. It's not what it seems to be, and it's actually really fucking good, man.
It can be creepy too,
and it's unique in what it does. Right? It's like mashing up genres. It's fucking cool, man. It's not what you think it's going to be. I love it, man. It's so much fun. So much fun.
Oh, the episode 295 is live.
Yeah, we got a comment. I wish Twisted Nightmare would get a good release. I'm like, it's got a Blu-ray release. It's fine.
Does it?
Yeah, Code Red.
Yeah,
dude, that doesn't fucking count.
Yes, it does, dude. You are so fucking stupid. Just like the whole Public Enemy. You're so dumb, man.
It was so fun. No, shut up.
It's a widescreen print.
And it's a nice fucking print too. It looks good.
It was funny. I was like sorting out my collection the other day, and like after that show, and there was one of those like Kino titles that is also like a Code Red title that I was putting on the shelf. I was like, Code Red.
Yeah, you missed out on a lot of good shit, bro. That sucks.
Right, exactly. It sucks. Code Red sucks because you missed out on all the shit. And you can't get it.
Dude, there was a lot of titles that weren't limited, man. They were readily available for everybody. You just chose not to pick them up.
I have some.
So,
I have some. I have some Code Reds.
Anyways, me and Tony are better. And we're cool.
I can live without it.
No.
Get
I
that
couldn't.
Twisted
I
Nightmare
could
Blu-ray.
not live without Twisted Nightmare in my collection. It's fucking fun.
Well, yeah,
I love that movie.
Too bad.
If you're a slasher completist, man, which is insanely hard to be, but like you got to have Twisted Nightmare in your collection. That's crazy.
Well, that's my problem. Is most people can't have Twisted Nightmare in their collection because fucking Code Red sucks.
And it might actually, like, I feel like Bill owned that, so we might not get another release of that.
It'll happen.
Eventually.
Yeah, I heard that like finding like usable elements is a bad thing, or
Look,
like a
this
hard thing.
this shit. Okay,
The
bro,
fact
look,
that they had a print,
that
I think, was
title-
a miracle.
Yeah.
that title was limited to 1,500 fucking copies.
Well, I didn't say every fucking title,
But I'm just saying, like, that is so fucking ridiculous. Like, not like who's gonna own that besides you, fucking
dude. Every Vinegar Syndrome, Igor is limited to 4,000, bro.
yeah,
4,000.
that's fucking 2.5 times the amount.
It's still limited to 4,000 copies, man. It's still limited.
I
Vinegar
know,
Syndrome
but,
does the
like,
same
bro.
shit, bro. Like it's no
It's
difference,
actually
man. You're
more
just
than
hating. You're
2.5.
fucking.
I
hating.
hate limited shit in general. I've always said that, but I feel like you have more of a fucking chance to get that.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Vinegar Syndrome being 4,000 is also a lot bigger company than Code Red ever was. They had to limit their
True.
shit because they couldn't fucking print up 10,000 copies because it would just be a waste of money. It's business, man. It's business.
They could, but they sell more if they say we're only doing 1,500.
The funny thing is,
$35.
the funny thing is, there's so many companies that print up shit that don't say it's limited, but they only have so many copies of it anyways, and
Right.
it's the way it is. So if they sell them, they might redo if they have a licensing deal for it, but you know,
You can't even find a copy on eBay right now.
he's got the tape. Oh man, he's got the tape. Dude, that thing is
60
so
bucks.
dark.
You can get it now for $60 on Blu-ray.
Yeah, that tape is so dark. Have you watched it recently? Tony, you're muted.
Yeah, it's unwatchable. This
Yeah.
fucking movie.
I was saying that in the review
Look
too,
at the
because-
price tag. Wait, where am I at here?
There is a German title for
Oh my god.
Fucking
whatever C
$80 tape.
is.
Wow, dude, that's crazy.
What's the
The
German
good old
currency?
days.
Yeah, I remember renting Twist, and I said in the review too, it was so dark, bro. I couldn't even watch it. It was like, what the fuck? There's nothing going on. Like, I
Right.
can't see anything.
That Blu-ray was a fucking revelation.
Dude, it really is. When you watch it, you're like, oh my, the whole thing looks good. Like, it looks
Mhm.
really, it's great. It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
So much bullshit.
This fucking guy.
Dude, you're like, oh, you got like you can't live without this. It's like, well, apparently only 1,500 people are going to be alive.
Yeah, Mason has one.
He
That's
does.
4 out of the
good for
15.
me.
And Mason was on the show and we talked about that shit. He even showed
Yeah.
it too. I was like, yeah, he's going.
Yeah, he got it for a great price of $40.
$40 is fine. Fuck, you pay $40 for Blu-rays all day right now.
I don't.
I'd pay 40 for Twisted Nightmare.
Yeah.
I didn't have to because I
I
bought
like
it
the movie
the
a
first
lot,
day it
but-
came out.
Yeah, I think it was 25 or something, whatever it was. I don't know. I couldn't remember what the price. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad though. Not as
And
bad
one
as
last
JP
fuck
makes it.
you is the guy went and died and didn't do anything with his fucking collection.
He
What a
gave
great
it to Dark Force Entertainment.
Did
They're
he?
like the next like Code Red DVD. Like they're so perfectly like the same like type of flavor of ineptitude and goofiness.
Everything about it is, yeah, absolutely. Except for they just don't have as good titles as Bill did with Code Red, though.
But they do have the greatest slipcover of all time, Hard Rock Nightmare. The ugliest fucking like scratch werewolf thing with the goofiest little googly eyes.
Dude, you know what's fucked, man? I literally just watched that I've had that Blu-ray for a couple of years since it came out or whatever. I'd never seen the movie before. That was one I just never saw. Watched it the other night and was like pleasantly surprised at how much fucking fun that was. It's literally Scooby-Doo, bro.
Yeah, that movie fucking rocks.
It's
Talk
totally
about a movie
Scooby-Doo.
that wasn't labeled as a slasher movie that maybe should have been.
Dude, it's fucking Scooby-Doo, bro. I was pissing myself in it, man. I was like, it's actually pretty fun though. Like, it's way better than you think it would be. 100%, it's way better than you think it would be. Like, it's
solid.
And the Blu-ray and
looks
the Blu-ray looks great too. Like, it honestly looks really good. Sounds good. I was like, wow, pretty impressed with it. So
I'm happy with Dark Force Entertainment, just like I am with Code Red. Like they're a little rough around the edges, but at least their disc looks good.
yeah, and you know what,
Yeah,
man?
I'm
Like,
not saying the quality of their product is bad at all. I just
Code
hate-
Red was when they first started putting out Blu-rays was really rough, and then they got so
Yeah, they did
much
get a lot
better, man. They
Yeah.
really did. Their transfers were so good. In Dark Force, I feel like is kind of the same thing. Like, but I've never had a problem with their transfers. It's been pretty good. So it is what it is. Different type of films, low budget, but anyways, I guess that's it. We're done.
Yeah, we're done. I gotta go wake
gotta-
up early.
I gotta hopefully work tomorrow. Might be getting locked out tomorrow. I don't know. I haven't checked my phone to see if I'm even working tomorrow.
You're about
Still-
to go on strike again.
Oh, dude, it's been going on for a year and a half, but like we're at the
Stop being lazy and get back to work, dog.
no, I am working. I've been working every fucking day.
I'm just fucking around, man.
I mean, I've never called in sick from this job one time.
Damn,
And
you need to start using your sick hours.
I know I have tons of them too. Like I have all these days I could just
I don't
take
think
off.
I
Call,
don't
call in, be
really-
late. That's what lazy people do. They just call in, like get paid for it and shit. I never take a day off because I love my job.
I don't.
I
take
use
days
my
off
job
either.
to like listen to tunes for. Well, it only took me
I just
2
save
hours
my
to
days
do
off.
all
I
around to me,
like
but-
sick days for when I'm not sick.
No, but anyways, that's episode 5, season 2, episode 5 here on the Simbin podcast.
Hell
And we'll be back,
yeah.
of course, next month with well, we already told you. So stay tuned and we'll be back. Deuces, dudes.
Bye.